It's just kind of wet.
Yeah.
Moist.
It's saturated.
Alright, welcome to the GrindWorks podcast. Episode 48. I'm kind of giving up on the post-recording intros at the moment. Because there's always like a lead-in anyway that you have to do in the show.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, everyone starts out weird. Because you're just like supposed to start into conversation. If you do it, and then record the one after, you double intro. And I noticed that a whole bunch of the podcast episodes have a double intro.
That's the way to do it.
So, it's been a while. It's been like 2 or 3 months. I just looked to make sure I was getting the right episode number, but I didn't look at when I uploaded them.
Those could be out of sequence, but correctly numbered.
I just don't know like when the last one was. Yeah, it could. If I have the number wrong, I could just record another one quick and be like,
What was the last one?
the placeholder.
Matt was the last one, I think. No?
Possibly.
I think it was.
Is this just the Buffalo podcast now?
We have a pretty solid representation going, so.
I mean, you know when Buffalo's coming.
We do. Because you guys have to coordinate ahead of time.
Kind of.
Let's find out. I'll make sure it was Matt. Because I knew there was one that was James and I that sat down just to kind of talk about stuff. The last one was put online December 8th.
Oh, wow.
So it's been almost 4 months.
We better come strong here. It's kind of worrisome now.
Yeah.
Or it has been. No, yeah. Almost 4 months.
Honestly, I remember listening to Matt's podcast first weekend of December.
So, welcome back to the show, Kevin Czuba.
Woo!
And, I guess welcome for the first time to Josh Sorrentino.
Yep.
Who has very adamantly wanted to do this for quite some time.
I have, yes.
So it's your show now, Josh. Don't disappoint us.
Whole life's a walking disappointment. Don't kid yourself. How many tricks did I try and not complete, and you guys all attempt to film?
I like to say that I've been crushing hopes and dreams since May of 1987. You know, about 9 months prior to my birth.
I was going to say from conception on. Nice.
You were just an accident in the backseat of a Trans Am.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've continued to disappoint ever since.
Yeah. Like, joke's on you. My dad still has a Trans Am.
Yeah, my dad had a Z28. So close.
Close enough, wasn't it?
Close enough.
Just
Same joke, different pocket.
Yeah.
Welcome to the car podcast.
Yeah.
Discuss the differences between a Trans Am and a Z28.
I don't even know. I'm not a car guy at all. I had the opportunity to be because my grandfather was. And I was basically handed a Corvair that I was like, I'm never going to drive this thing. I'm not going to take care of it. Give it to someone that will. And like at some point in my life, I'll probably regret that because it was a car that used to win show awards. Like it was a nice, well kept, car.
Yeah.
But you knew at the time that was not going to be your thing.
It's not my thing. It's never been my thing. It might be in the future.
Right.
In which case, like, good, I'll find something and play with it.
But you realize, like, given the time that you're born in and stuff like that, you're going to be, like, nostalgic for, like, a, 1993, like, Ford Taurus.
91 Civic, baby.
See, there.
Well, the other thing too is you gotta like invest into like being a car guy. Like you don't have a garage, I noticed, and neither do I. So
and especially like the thing is, it was still being kept at my grandma's house,
right?
And she does have a nice like double wide garage,
right?
And all the equipment and tools for maintaining it were there, so like I had a place to keep it. It's just that I wasn't into it.
Are you gonna go over there and do what I'm saying? Like, oh, I better get over to grandma's and wash that car and.
in the 6 or 7 years that it was available to me, maybe even longer than that, 'cause he died in 99. I think I was already living down here, so say 14, 15 years
Yeah.
that the car was available to me. I drove it twice. It was, and I was living in an apartment at that point down here. Like just get rid of it. You know that the guy that used to go to shows with him has wanted that car for 15 years.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather's was nicer than his, but they had the same car.
You're not going to park it in the spare spot in your apartment
I'm
complex.
like, this guy clearly wants it and will take care of it better than I will, or have even.
Yeah. I agree.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like it was a good decision. Should have sold it with a contingency that I could have gotten it back in like 10 years, but I still don't want it.
Or if
I still don't want it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, he kicks off, you get first dibs. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you have it till you're dead, then let me get it back. But no, seriously, like, just getting rid of it felt like a good option. Anyway, why are we talking about me and my stuff?
I don't know.
Because we're in your house.
Yeah.
Alright, well, this is my highlighter. Matches my shirt. It's bright to make up for my dull personality.
Why do we come down here, Josh? Shred some stuff?
Yeah, ride bikes. It's your weekend, by the way. I'm just here
for
for the
weekend
ride.
right now. So.
Want to talk about me for a minute? I quit my one job. I worked at a bike shop for like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 whole weeks.
Millennial, man. Can't hold a job. No, I originally, my one job, the current day job was offered me, was like, oh, we'll get you overtime and this and that. And like a whole year happened where I wasn't getting the hours I wanted. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a second job. And like, once I got the second job, they were like, oh, whoa. And I like even threatened them a little bit. I was like, they're offering me full time. Like, I might just go there and all the overtime I want. And like, well, we can't let that happen. So I finally got like what I want. But then it was like, I can't juggle 2 jobs when you're working all that overtime. So,
Right.
you know.
Yeah,
part ways.
and, you know,
That's
bike
good.
shop jobs are cool, but...
That sucked.
Cool to a point, so.
No, they generally, I'm pretty sure, just suck.
Yeah. You know, you work on bikes at home, you work on bikes at a shop. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, you work on bikes in a shop and you never fix your own.
Pretty much. Like a mechanic.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do. If you do the same thing for a hobby that you do at work, you never do your hobby.
I agree. So, that's me. That's my life.
Hence, I don't ride bikes hardly ever unless people come into town, because GrindWorks.
Okay, we're glad that we could get you out there and run you through your town and stuff like that. Everything
Yeah.
From, wonderful parks to closed ones to random pond-side, non-existent spots to,
Yeah.
sketchy ramps.
Yeah, we found you a pond by Imperial Skate Park.
Yeah.
Go there in the fall. Snap
Hey,
a photo.
don't blow the spot up to everyone else around here.
Oh,
They'll be going to ride that sick ditch spot that we
Yeah.
found
Oh.
right outside of Imperial.
It's a sweet Strider section.
I think it's a foot tall ditch.
Not even,
Yeah.
It's probably close to a foot.
yeah.
It's about a foot.
Maybe 2 feet of bank.
Yeah. It's at a whopping 20 degrees incline.
Hella sick rails though, so that's key.
Yeah, the rail setup was pretty tight.
Yeah. It was.
They were like perfect for ankle grinds.
Yep. Ample run up. So.
Yeah. Handlebar grinds, yeah.
There's just enough paint flakes off that it's like Rex's lubricant. It's fantastic. So.
I'm super out of practice on this stuff. So like I feel like I'm dragging into this. And I'm just like cloudy in the head, tired. I don't know why.
Yeah.
We had a good day yesterday.
I think everybody's feeling that after a year of just insanity and nothing being normal. It's like just the fact to be able to take a road trip is mind cleansing and kind of awesome. So
Yeah, our winter sucked.
yeah, the fact that we actually went from maybe being able to ride a little bit here or there, or possibly riding in sub-freezing temperatures to holy crap, we just rode like an entire day yesterday. Like,
And it was 70 degrees outside.
yeah,
I know.
so, mean, from what 10:30 till like 7 o'clock at night. I mean, with some drive time in between.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and pro walks. There's definitely a good pro walk.
Oh yeah, beautiful pro walk. So,
FYI to anyone in Pittsburgh area right now, Imperial's closed for repairs. I don't know what that means. I don't know how long, but we drove out there to locked gates. So
now, granted, it did say closed on Google, and James was like, "Oh, that doesn't mean anything." So
I mean,
also it's all James.
Yeah, it's that,
very.
The likelihood of that being up to date is always questionable.
Well, and why would a park be closed? Like, why would Google say the park is closed?
Right.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. Google says it's going to be closed.
It's closed. Yeah. Well, at least they're up to date with their shit.
Be mindful of the speed bumps. You know, they can bottom out real easy. So.
Oh my god, that yesterday. that girl got airborne in that.
She was definitely coming down that hill at like 30, 35 and went over that speed bump.
I don't think I've ever seen a Silverado bumper hit the ground before.
That's pretty awesome.
It did hit the ground.
It hit the ground.
Do you have a sound program for that, like an impact sound? That'd be great. So.
A Silverado hit the ground.
No, but I think I just recorded it.
Awesome.
Oh my god.
I have my whoosh and fade and all that stuff turned off too.
Oh, good.
We don't want any whooshes going on here.
I was gonna say, I think yesterday was pretty successful across the board. I think everybody had fun except for James, because has to throw himself down like a set of stairs.
Yeah, James forgot how to do a feeble grind.
Yeah. After telling me like this ledge is easy, super easy, you could just hop right on here and like that. Next thing I know, like bam, he's on the ground, can't breathe. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll be avoiding that ledge now, thanks.
Well, in his defense, he at least hurt himself in the most convenient spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see anyone jump down those stairs yesterday.
Yeah, nobody else had to go around him or anything like that. He did it.
Yeah, he could just lay
He
there.
could have just laid there, croaked.
If no one saw him go down, he could have laid there for like 20 minutes before we even. Hey, where's James?
Yeah, it's true. Unfortunately, he fell next to me, so I saw. Should have just looked the other way. Like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at Boyce Park, there is a nice section of the fence that has a large pole that's loose. Feel free to use that for shenanigans as well. So worked out well. Found a couple uses for that.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always about what the park has to offer, but sometimes what's around the park that you can use.
Yeah, well, we came up with a cool concept idea yesterday that I don't really want to give to someone else, although I don't think anyone else is motivated enough to take it and run with it, at least in a good manner. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
We need to get just like a random 2x4, like a 3-foot long 2x4, take it to a park like that, and every trick has to involve the 2x4. Doesn't matter if you set up bump jumps, like skinny rides, tranny in, whatever, but everything has to involve that piece for an entire edit.
That's awesome.
Not a bad idea.
I like the sound of that.
Not a bad idea at all.
It's gonna be fun. It's rainy today, so we're not doing it today.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Next time.
All right. Let's take the rain to the park, and every trick has to involve rain.
That'll get interesting real fast as soon as like the braking surfaces start to like fail. So.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at Boyce, it's still really grippy, even when it's wet.
Really?
I figure as much. Yeah.
But if we went to Penn Hills,
oh, you'd be slipping and sliding all day.
That would be a complete death trap.
That was the one with all the composite stuff, right?
Yeah.
That place is fantastic.
I thought that was the coolest park I've ever been to, actually.
Just the fact you can move stuff around and like really noodle with a bunch of different things. It's kind of like I probably could have spent all day there. So
yeah,
and then some. And then probably come back with more wood and stuff like that, and
yeah.
You can use wood, these metal and deck composite. That's it. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what did we hit? We hit Boyce, Penn Hills. Attempted to go to Imperial, and then Sheridan.
Yeah. A good solid day.
Sheridan was interesting too. That had some just kind of like wild stuff to.
It's kind of a gem, like a diamond in the rough, where, like, if you looked at the pictures of that place, it's like, yeah, it might be fun. But the ramps are just so good.
Yeah.
And then the DIY stuff just kind of adds to it.
That spine was really fun. A little tiny.
It had some character.
Coping spine.
Yeah.
It's like you're not dealing with the same that you're always dealing with, where it's like, oh, it's a perfectly fabricated, park, which is the one we pro walked, Imperial. That looked like, that's how a park should look. As opposed to like, this is a little bit janky, but man, it's got some possibilities. So
There was nothing janky about Sharon other than that hole in the corner.
Yeah.
There was nothing janky.
Fiberglass.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Your worst flat rail though was a lot of fun. So
I mean, it is. I don't mean it any formal insult when I say it's the worst flat rail I've ever ridden. Because I ride it. That is the key. It's not like there's plenty of flat rails that you look at and you just walk away from because they're so bad.
well, it's like just the right height.
It's a very sessionably bad.
A little bit wider, so you can kind of like you got a little bit of leeway for some stuff, and it's like I said, it does have that little bit of a character.
Yeah.
Flow to it. It's like pump track. Flat rail.
Yeah. I'm still bummed that the good rail got jacked up though. Like whatever happened to that.
Is that the round rail? Or is
Yeah, the round one that looks like someone just like, I don't know. I mean, running into it with a vehicle wouldn't rip the studs out of the ground. It's like a guy hit with a snowplow, but there's no reason to have a snowplow there.
Right. Sledgehammer.
That's probably what it is. The kids probably found like a little mini sludge and thought it'd be cool to smash it on things.
Maybe. Stupid. Hey, congratulations, Josh, on the new shirt.
Oh yeah, you like that? Yeah. I didn't wear a GrindWorks shirt for Instagram or anything this time.
I guess 2 new shirts because yesterday and today you have 2 different shirts on. They're not the army green GrindWorks shirt or the fluorescent GrindWorks shirt.
I still have the fluorescent one. I just wear it at work now. So
they can see you.
Yeah.
Nice.
I gotta wear high vis all the time on its service stuff.
I always get a kick out when like you're wearing your shirt with the picture of you on it.
So does everyone.
And it's like I just feel like one of these days we just need to like get shirts with ourselves on it and just like show up and just like
we should like all look so self-centered to ourselves.
Yeah.
Every time we fart, we try to whiff it into our own mouths. And notice
for a while I was like real weird about wearing that shirt around just because like I looked for a picture of any of our friends doing crank flips that wasn't me for that shirt, but I don't like pictures of most people doing crank flips because everyone does front foot, but they do like frog leg jumps when they do them because of the way you have to scoop it. So it's like really high off the bike, frog legs. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just not visually appealing for a photo to go on a shirt.
Right.
You have to be selective.
And we already had that picture of me doing a double peg to crank flip out off the side of a truck. Is what that photo is.
Right.
I'm like, it's a pretty cool photo. It just sucks it's me going on this shirt that I'm going to be the only one wearing.
I have one and I do wear it, so.
But I do feel weirder when other people have my shirt on at this point. Like, I'd rather just be like, yep, it's me on the shirt, guys. Yep, I get it.
Yeah.
Then, like, when people have it, I'm like, this is weird now. You're inside of me.
Is it still available?
No.
Are we plugging a product in the
No, but it might need a second version if I can get a good crank flip photo with me wearing that shirt, so it's like Inception.
True.
That would be wild.
Another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can make it happen.
Maybe we need to just plan for that and do a very limited run because I overbought that shirt thinking that, like, one, it was at a time crank flips were still cool, so I'm like, all right, people might actually be into this. Like,
yeah.
They weren't. Such as GrindWorks.
You tried marketing it through like Old Navy or something like that? Or,
Old Navy. Yeah.
No.
Cool BMX shirt,
No, those are all old band shirts or oh, they say NASA on them.
Maybe in like 10 years we can push it to Hot Topic or something.
Super niche. I like.
Yeah, after it's just like so far gone that it's like, oh, this is a retro shirt now.
The coolest retro shirt you never heard of.
Just put a bunch of them away in a tote for a while and just hope for the best. So
it's an investment.
Yeah. Hey, crank flips will come back around.
I mean, they generally do real quick.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's a free coaster crank flip, then it's.
You hear it clunk clunk when the feet are slapping back on.
Yeah.
The body hits the ground.
Yeah. But me and you crank flip very similar. You know, I don't do your little frog hop thing. I don't use my front foot.
Yeah, yours are low. So.
I just kick mine like a 2-stroke or like a moped. You know, trying to bump stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I always say mine aren't truly back foot. I know yours are back foot, like straight up.
Yep.
I feel like they're always inconsistent that way, but when you start to figure out how to time it, they just snap around the fastest crank flips you've ever seen.
Pretty much.
That totally eludes me. It's like, I don't know how you guys do that.
Well, I learned crank flips when crank flips were not cool. I just learned them like one day in a parking lot with a group of people. That was cool. And then all of a sudden they became cool, and I was like, oh, I've been doing them wrong with all these how-to videos now.
But they work.
But mine work. Yep.
Yep, and they look cooler.
Yep.
Each way has its own unique
pros and cons,
exactly. Like, you can do them into and out of stuff better when you don't do them the way we do them.
Right.
Like, if you can do a proper full hop and then scoop the crank flip, you can do them good.
I agree.
Ours have to be right off the snap on the ground.
Yep.
Or
as you're picking up.
Post tuck. So that you can have tucked and then slide it on the like the crest.
Yeah, I got
you. You can kind of push down on it and get it to go.
Yeah, a little ankle flick.
That's what I was telling you yesterday about doing them late. Like over a pyramid, you can get a good tuck and then kick.
Flick it, yeah. Yeah, I can't do that. You know what's our crank flips are harder for too is like 181s. It's like
I mean, borderline impossible. Not on a bank or a quarter.
Right.
But to just do like a flat ground 180 crank flip, yeah, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work, of course, at all.
I've never been able to make that work.
No, I can make half cab ones work, but I can't
crank clip bars.
The helicopter things.
Mm-hmm.
That's not.
That does work.
The bar spin crank flip?
Yes.
Have you ever completed one?
2 hands, 1 foot.
I'll allow it. So.
It works. Hey, if you got it, you got it.
I'm always a little bit behind the bike because I'm kind of afraid of it.
I don't blame you.
But I also used to try them fakey.
Really?
That's how I was like getting the closest.
Huh.
Yeah, that does have like you basically lose all contact with your bike, and you're just hoping that everything comes around so you don't like jab, stab, or like fall off.
But so when the crank flip comes around as fast as it does, you can pop the crank flip, and as soon as you get it started, you can throw the bars. So you're catching, and you got to grab the crank, like catch the cranks at the same time. They happen one then the other, but the catch happens at the same time.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's always crank flip then bar spin.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, you mean you can't kick your feet until you need your hands to hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you just kick the bike away.
Yeah, you just flick it away.
I don't know. They're weird though. One of those tricks that like I would love to be able to do, but kind of over it at this point. Like I'll kick one and try it occasionally.
Right, just to see what happens.
And then still, like I'll catch it with 1 foot and 2 hands, and I'm like, yeah, that's still that same issue. And then I leave and go home.
Try to get another 5 years.
Go back underground for another 6 weeks until somebody else from Buffalo shows up. So.
At this point in my riding, it's more like I need to maintain the tricks I do still have and not try to learn new ones.
That's where I'm gonna have to argue with there.
All right, argue. Go.
Always have to learn new stuff. new stuff helps the old stuff come along. Like, if I don't go and try to figure out something new, it's not worth it. So it's not about maintaining. It's about constantly trying to create. So
That's fair.
not so much an argument, but
Yeah,
personal
counterpoint.
So, yeah. Hot take.
Yeah, I like to at least make sure I can still do the basic crap that I can't.
Yeah, with Andy. I'm basic bro, BMX.
I know. You got your tail whips, you got your crank spins,
I had my tail whips.
Your bar flips, your
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm past my tail whip days, I think.
Yeah.
If I feel motivated one of these days, maybe I'll go make myself do one to a resi or something.
Yeah.
airbag.
Yeah, airbag.
True. That is my next investment.
I mean, with the elevational differences that you have around here, you could probably just use some of the natural curves for a launch.
Yeah, I had a moment where I was pretty decent at being able to do them.
Yeah.
Fly out. Then
you don't do it, you lose it in a sense.
well, I had a series of injuries, non-tail whip related.
Yeah.
That I just didn't do one for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I never really got back to doing them.
That makes sense.
And then when a couple of years ago, I partially tore my ACL. And like, it's still there. But every time I've like even tried to play with the idea of like, all right, I really want to at least put one more down.
Yeah.
Like 3 attempts in, my knee is just like, stop!
It's time to give up now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but all I need to do is put my feet on. It's just a no-footer at this point. As soon as it's around and it's between your legs, it's a no-footer. Put your feet on. I'm good at no-footers.
Yeah, that's true.
But
the feet.
but guess what? No. What if you stuck your leg halfway out to the side at a 45-degree angle and flexed your knee in a bunch of times? That'd be cool.
Hey, you can't heal if you're not broken. Remember that.
Oh, words of wisdom. So.
Yeah.
I will take not healing then. So thank you.
Yeah.
But the knee is not going to heal itself.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's kind of a ticking time bomb, actually.
Yeah.
Because it will not repair itself. But they won't do surgery on it unless it goes all the way.
Well, it is raining outside, and your ramps look a little slippery. Want to test fate? Yeah.
No,
I don't actually.
no. I'd rather keep the muscles strong around it and just have a knee that's kind of loose.
Yeah.
A little janky.
A little bit loose.
Yeah.
I like my knee like I like my chain.
Rusty? No.
Yeah.
Sloppy but with strong parts.
Yeah. Loose but good links.
You can tell it's like an early Sunday morning here instead of like a post session or like a
yeah.
everybody's charged up. It's kind of like
juiced up.
all just like worn out. It's like we've done more physical activity and having a long ass time.
Yeah, those are real. Like I said, our winter kind of sucked in Buffalo. It wasn't even mainly because of the weather. It was mostly because like my work was lame. It was like you can't leave New York State. And then if you do, you have to quarantine with no pay. So, like,
Yeah.
Couldn't go to Ray's. Couldn't go to like here, like Wheel Mill. Canada's just a lost cause at this point because that border's shut down.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
plus you didn't get any of those.
I mean, that's
like,
how we did Matt O'Connell's podcast. Was he sat in that exact spot from his house
yeah, exactly.
because he couldn't leave New York
I
to
know.
come down here and do a
It's
podcast.
ridiculous.
we didn't have any of those like random warm days either.
Yeah, we
like,
didn't, like those freak of nature. It's like 65.
January 3rd,
Yep.
something,
Global warming my ass.
It was a cold winter. We actually got a little bit of snow down here, which is kind of abnormal.
Yeah.
Had a couple good snowstorms too.
We had enough snow, and it's like just some really bitter.
Did you guys
cold.
get any, like, how you guys get hammered sometimes up there? You didn't have any major storms, right? Where you got like 7 feet at a time or something?
If you want to know anything about Buffalo and its snowstorms, it actually all varies. Like, there's things called snow bands. So like in Buffalo, and like there's like 3 or 4 different snow bands. So like if you're in the city, you're in like a snow band. If you're like in the first link of suburbs, like in North Buffalo, you got like a different snow band. You're in Niagara Falls, you're in a different snow band. Then if you go south of the city, you're like in a, it's like, so it really varies on like maybe 1 or 2 of those snow bands at a time will just get dumped on with snow, and then you go across town and you still see grass.
Okay.
Pretty wild concept.
Yeah, between the lake and the way the wind's blowing or whatever like that, it can be, you know,
Yep, like
catastrophic out by me. And you know, Josh's like, I don't know, it's like I got a dusting, so.
yeah, or not even a snowflake. It's same thing. Brandy's family lives like really southern tier, and they're in a whole different snow band too, where like all the ski resorts are.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes sense, but it's like, oh yeah, we just got our casual 2-3 feet, and it's like casual. I'd be hating my life shuffling that, you know?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like it with in regards to snow in Buffalo, it's like we get like, you know, 6, 8, 10 inches of snow, and it's like,
It is what it
okay,
is. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
whatever,
that's expected.
that is
Yeah.
it is what it is kind of thing. It's like where some other places like that would shut the world down. So.
Yeah. Well, that varies too.
Yeah.
Like my friends in Tennessee, they don't buy like all season tires. They just buy the cheapest summer tires they can get.
Mhm.
So when they do get that inch of snow,
They're toast.
they're
yeah.
toast. Yeah. You know, you think towns would do like buy all season tires? No, towns do the same things and
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
plow or salt or anything either.
Snow wasn't bad this year. It was cold. There were there was a good chunk of time where it was like into the teens and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
where it's like I rode in that in the barn, 15 degrees one night. It was like, oh, you know, come on over. I built a couple new ramps, and it was like, sure. Like if you were moving constantly, it's like you kind of said okay, but as soon as you stood still, it was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
this is cold. So
Yeah, I can relate because we had the ice house here.
yep.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what that was. The only upside to it was that it wasn't windy in there.
Mm.
That's true.
So, like, yeah, it's cold out. It's possibly colder than it is outside, but it's dry and there's no wind, so.
Right. That goes along. Plus, you could probably heat. Could you heat it or no?
It wasn't insulated, so, like,
So
we
it's
could
pointless.
we could put a small space heater in just to, like, keep your hands warm. But, yeah, I mean, it was a total waste.
Oh,
There was, like, an office room there, though, that was heated. It had baseboard heat.
Okay.
So, like, you could get it up to feeling, like, 50 degrees in there, so.
Yeah, it's workable.
yeah.
But yeah, you kind of had to just like pace. Like you'd go in, hang out for a minute, warm up,
Yeah.
go back out and ride.
This is like second level of a barn, so it's like there's no insulation, and if you did try to heat it, you'd probably burn the thing down. So
But to be fair on that too, like most of the time here we ride the like 33, 34 degree mark. So like it's I would say on average from like what I'm used to in Binghamton to here, about 5 degrees warmer here.
Right.
So like Binghamton would ride the 27, 28 and snowing all day. We would ride 33, 34. We'd be getting rain all day.
Yeah.
So they'd get snow accumulation and we'd get wet. But overnight we would get sheets of ice. Everything turns to just ice.
Yeah.
And then they still have snow accumulation. You're like, aha, you might have the better end of this deal.
True.
But
and given the fact that every single road around here just seems to be angled, you know, I'm sure that's
it pairs very well with ice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine so.
Yeah, it gets sketch.
Yeah.
But
Driving around down here has not been my favorite thing. So, but you know,
yeah,
It's overwhelming.
it's interesting. You know.
I
A lot
feel.
of blind curves, a lot of blind hills, a lot of like.
There's a lot of attention to details you gotta pay attention to. Like I feel like Pittsburgh's driving habits and like Buffalo's driving habits are 2 different things. This is from what I've learned from just driving in Pittsburgh in the past. Because unfortunately, when I was like 16 on a permit, driving through Pittsburgh, because my dad had this thing called trust, and it was like before you know it, like in Buffalo, like you have like turning lane, you go in the center median, and then you have the turning lane at the intersection. Here, the lane stays the same, and now it's the turning lane, so you have to go around. So it's like you're 16, you barely comprehend the rules of the road, let alone a whole new set of like trying to follow the new, I guess, driving habits around here.
There's a lot of exit right to turn left.
Yeah.
Where the road will cut out and then it comes up to a proper intersection to go left.
Yeah.
Where there's no left turn lane.
Mm.
But then there's also, I think it's the 40th Street Bridge. I might be wrong. It's exit left to go right.
Huh.
I mean, it exits left to go up the ramp, and then you've got either way. But
yeah.
But you're like, this is
breaks all conventional rules, you know.
Yeah.
And then like some of we caught a bunch of them good yesterday, but you can tell there's those like bridges where they merge together, and you got 200 feet to figure out where you need to be, and it might be 4 lanes across.
Oh, and the sign's half unseeable till last second due to like the supports of the bridge. Yeah, I think we followed you.
We only had one that we had to cross over coming back.
Yeah.
Where it was left lane, left lane, left lane, and then we had to go far right lane.
3 lanes over. Yeah.
Figured as long as I could keep you in sight, we were okay. So.
Yeah. I was trying to drive slower.
You did a great job.
I always drive slow.
We were complimenting that on our. Yeah, thank God we're following Andy. Otherwise, we'd be like, "Get over now! This is the lane." And as he's looking over his shoulders, I'm like, "Go, Gus!" You know.
It's good to have a navigator. So.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible navigator.
Well, I mean, it's just not convenient. Even with a GPS, do you really want to be taking your eyes off those roads?
No.
Not really.
Yeah, Buffalo's pretty straightforward by comparison.
Yeah, well, we're pretty flat in comparison to here.
Yeah. As Buffalonians, that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
That works.
Or as we're also known as Bill's Mafia, apparently.
All right. So as Bill's Mafia, how do you feel about Pittsburgh chicken wings?
Oh God!
Holy shit!
Oh God! Ugh. They look like someone ordered frog legs.
Frog legs or crab legs or something. It's just like this weird.
Well, you get this misinterpretation too. What did James get yesterday? A 12-piece?
Yeah.
I can slate 12 wings, but that's
was like
24 wings because they left the drum and the
fingertips on.
I mean, everything.
That was like a full chicken arm.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
And it's just,
yeah.
like
even a commercial brand like what is that one? What's that?
Like Buffalo Wild Wings.
Buffalo Wild Wings got it down. All you have to do is copy them. Go there once, buy their shitty food, get out. You know.
I mean, the upside of a Buffalo Wild Wings is no matter where you are in the country, you know what you're in for.
Yeah.
I guess that's the same for pretty much any fast food or chain restaurant.
Pretty much, unfortunately.
But it's like so many things were wrong. Like any of us that posted anything were getting reactions out of people that were just like, what is going on?
And that was supposed to be their hot flavor, right?
Yeah,
that was the buffalo flavor.
That looked like the skin was just like kind of just lightly painted on with like a garlic butter.
And then they threw spices at it.
Yeah.
It's like they weren't crispy enough to feel like they were actually cooked all the way through, which is also kind of skeeve a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and you were just like, oh, just break them apart. I'm like, no, it's not the same because you're not getting that cooked inner joint. And it's like the hot wasn't hot. It was just so many things on the checkbox that were just not right.
You know, I will buy them their first bottle of Frank's to get them addicted. If they really
I mean,
we can start with that.
I don't have a necessary hatred for the whole wing.
Yeah.
Like I'll live with it and deal with it. But I'm joking. But if you're gonna call it buffalo style,
do it.
It better be a Frank's and butter mix.
Pretty much. That's it.
Well, when you get your butt up to Buffalo, we'll take you for some proper.
I don't know if I can handle like real wings anymore because.
Take it to Duff's and like.
Yeah. Come there in happy hour. They got a good happy hour too.
No, there are like places that do normal wings, but they're not as common.
Yeah. I bet.
Pizza was okay.
The pizza was delicious. Actually.
Yeah.
You got leftovers in your car, so your car's gonna smell good.
It's not New York style pizza,
Artichoke.
but
Yeah, we're not picky about it.
I don't know how your buffalo pizza is because
Buffalo-
I know
Buffalo
it's
style's
not
like it's
your
an
conventional New York
It's an
style.
in between. It's not as thick as like a Chicago deep dish, but it's got
It's not as thin as a New York style.
It's got a little more meat to it.
We changed the pepperoni a little
So
bit
more
too.
like the Detroit style, like Little Caesars type.
No.
No, because I like Little Caesars, but I hate the sauce.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they got the awesome like stuffed cheese on top of cheese pizza. And then, like, I hate the sauce so much that I'm willing to like pick up the cheese, scrape it off, put the cheese back on, and eat it. Like,
Are we gonna stop at Little Caesars on the way home?
no.
Yeah, just for the cheese bread. Just
they
get
got
their
pretzel
Italian
crust
cheese bread.
too?
Oh,
Pretzel crust is so good, and they put nacho sauce on.
This is not a paid endorsement, by the way.
No, that's all right.
But
it could
well,
be.
But it could be
last,
if you're
last
on
time
board.
I tried getting
50 contingent listeners, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, Little Caesars, step up your game.
Are we international? Do we have at least one person in Canada or somewhere else that listens?
Canada? I don't know.
You make it happen.
Then we can claim international.
I might be able to look the metrics up if I always say I don't care, but I clearly keep doing these.
Yeah.
So I have
You
to,
care
I
enough.
guess, have enough care.
Fair enough.
Karen.
I know I have a hairstyle of Karen when this dries and the volume's all,
Yeah.
slap some hairspray on it.
I'm really glad you showered. It's probably
Showers are cool.
Probably would have been a stank ride on the
I
way
shower
back,
all
so.
the time. Just not when I know I don't have to interact with people, only with the people at my work. I get real scuzzy for them because I don't want them coming at me, I gotta talk to you about something. Can't you do it out here? You don't want to pull me in a small room in your office.
I'm sure your
I
girlfriend
like
that
that
we're not
mentality.
supposed to mention is, probably appreciative of that.
We could talk about her, but she just knows I'll say very stupid or embarrassing or anything. Like, if I got, like, any alcohol, I'd be like, yeah, she likes it. And it's going to be like, guys, she really doesn't actually, but it embarrasses the hell out of her and it's funny,
Sorry, Brando. My apologies.
She's a nice girl, shy. She'll make you. She's so shy that she'll think that she hates you. That's how shy she is.
But she rides and she's one tough chick, so
I know you guys all broke your ankles.
Yeah, she's in the Broken Ankle Club, so.
I didn't, but she did. She knows what a man I am.
I mean, we can change that.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a part of the Broken Ankle Club?
Yeah, like, you got a wet ramp outside. Let's.
Yeah.
You polish off
I
that
can finish
ACL,
the
and
knee.
I'll polish off my.
I'll film. It's like.
Shouldn't have forgotten who it was. It might have been Tyler. Someone tried to just do a disaster on that quarter with it slightly wet still, and it was just like a rapid lip slide to hip check.
Oh. That sounds like a Matt thing too, or James.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call him.
Or actually even other Matt too, because I think he blew himself.
What if we just collectively agreed to start calling him Ray?
We could do that.
Then we're all on the same page.
Am I the only one that calls him James?
No, I call him James.
Okay.
But I call him Matt.
Right.
That's because Matt O'Connell's old nickname used to be called Scooter, so we never had a contradiction of Matt's.
That's true.
But now it's like I say Matt, and Andy looks at me and goes, O'Connell? I'm like, no, James.
Yeah, I always have to guess which Matt people are talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
If we're gonna call him Ray, we should just call him Raymond.
Ray.
It has been decided.
That homosexual black guy from Scary Movie. Ray.
I don't know if I ever saw a Scary Movie.
Oh, you're missing out.
Well,
We do a Scary Movie live.
So we have a fun game that I get to play because everyone just makes fun of me, which is, has Andy seen this movie?
Oh boy.
I'm real bad at trivia because I'm real bad with pop culture.
Born in '88. Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's like, if you name a movie, I probably haven't seen it.
If I can relate to you, you have like the same PS2 collection of games that I.
Yeah.
So.
What's your favorite PS2 game?
I told you last night, Gran Turismo 3.
Alright.
That is like my all-time favorite. Like that was like I'm an adult. This is simulated racing now. You know.
Actually, let's rewind.
Okay.
What's your favorite Atari game?
No, I have the classic that I don't ever touch.
I didn't have the Atari. I had a Sears and television set growing up, so which was similar but different. But gosh, I don't know. Like how Burger Time was like kind of like a Pac-Man kind of clone kind of thing.
Okay.
And that had like this weird controller that basically looked like it was a number pad with like a circle and then buttons on the side. Is like anti-ergonomic. Like basically, like if you could make a controller that was any more awkward to use. Yeah.
We had an Atari because my dad found it at a garage sale. I mean, obviously, just the best Atari game is Pong. There's no way around it. There's other ones that are fun to play. That one, like, I would still play Pong. We had a TurboGrafx.
Ooh, fancy. I say you jumped from Atari to TurboGrafx 16.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a leap.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But well, I mean, it wasn't a jump like that though. We had a Super Nintendo before we had any of that.
Okay.
But I never really got it. My brother played a little bit with the TurboGrafx. I didn't like any of the games we had for it. But it's still one of those, like, kind of, like you had the Intellivision. It's the more obscure one that's, like, cool to have owned.
Still works, like, which is amazing. But then jumped from that to, like, a Sega Genesis. So that was, like, I did not have the Nintendo and stuff growing up. Like, Sega Genesis, and then that was it until me and my brother collectively scrounged up enough money to buy a PS1. You know.
What's your favorite Genesis game?
All Streets of Rage.
Yeah, I never played Genesis.
The Streets of Rage series, hands down. And then they did it for the Switch.
Does it hold up?
Oh yeah.
All right,
yeah,
good.
And like, it's like I can have me and all three of the boys play it. So like before I was playing, it's fantastic. So definitely worth it. Not a paid promo.
Favorite Nintendo games?
I mean, I had an NES.
All right.
So, and I used to just love playing Super Mario 3 on that. Yeah, hated one.
Super Mario 3 was like the real good one, right? With like the raccoon cap and stuff like that.
Yeah, that wasn't like the second one, which actually wasn't a Mario game. That was like reskinned and kind of like a little weirder.
The second one was the super weird one.
Yeah, you're pulling radishes out of the ground. And
yeah.
And it's like, that because that wasn't.
I remember that from Super Mario All-Stars because it had all of them on there, but it was.
That wasn't a Mario game to begin with. It was some like Toki Panic or something like. A game that was made. I'm going way off from the rails now.
Street Fighter 3 was also on NES too, right? Or maybe Street Fighter.
That might have been Super Nintendo.
I don't know.
Because I remember.
Might have been Super Nintendo because that's where things actually started to get like
Mario Kart.
Playable.
Yeah. Right. Because I remember for the NES we had like I guess it was like a Street Fighter, but you would like walk down and you just beat up villains and then you walk to the next area.
The Zelda series has always been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Bubble Bobble for the NES. Seriously, good game. Bubble Bobble. Super Nintendo, I'd have to say like Mario Kart, just because.
Yeah, I actually never played Super Nintendo.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really get into video games. Like, I played them a little bit, like NES, when I was young. Cause, like, that's when my parents were still young when they were playing it, and my brother would get involved, and I just attempt in the free time. Or, like, when they were playing it. And then, like, that's it, jumped right to PS2.
Yeah.
You know?
I jumped into a lot of the older stuff way afterwards.
Yeah.
Just, Nintendo 64 was awesome. Like, but I never had one until probably, like, 2002.
Nice.
But then it was like sweet,
You probably never experienced a new N64 controller pre-ED.
Pre-ED.
Every Nintendo 64 controller, the joystick has ED because of the way Mario Party games were. That you had to sit there and rotate it. It was not a comfortable joystick. You'd burn a hole right in the center of your hand. But by the time you got done spinning that thing around in circles, every joystick had flop to it. Like it would have like 5 degrees of just dead play.
A little extra.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Again, like attempts at being ergonomic, but yeah, quite. That weird like.
Well, it had three posts. Like you got to change your grip on it if you wanted to use the D-pad. It's stupid.
It seems like nowadays it's like everyone's kind of agreed upon the, somewhat standardized kind of like controller setup.
I mean, have they? Because
have you looked at a Switch?
Well, just Nintendo's history in general of their controller. There's a funny meme I've seen in the past that's like Xbox, some changes good, and it like shows all their controllers over the years, and they're like similar but slightly adapted. PlayStation, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Like the exact same.
It's the exact same over and over and over, and then it's like Nintendo, cocaine. It shows all theirs all over the place.
It's true though, because there's like there was a video about like 10 of the most absurd video game controllers, and it was like Nintendo made 5 out of the 10. Like,
Sega Saturn had one of the worst controllers I've ever seen.
Was that the one with like
the bottom mounted cord, which is like just it just doesn't make any sense, and then it had like digital things that you could like load into it.
Well, and then they had a game that came out called Nights into Dreams. And then there was like a custom controller that came out for playing that game.
Yeah.
And it looked like a discus. It was like this big. And it had like a weird joystick on it, and it was bizarre. But I don't know. That console was weird.
Well, the Switch controllers is like there's the standard kind of like Switch one, and then they have like the old Game Boy style ones. Like my one son prefers that one because that's what he was playing with.
GameCube one.
And then they have the Pro controller where it's just a normal controller for once.
Yeah. And I had the GameCube ones too. So. Those ones. Or Malibu's most one. I got a Gamecast.
Yeah. So you're a Sega guy by trade.
Just from that's what it was. It was like grew up with the Sega Genesis, so it's like everything that came out with that was just the thing. And then everything else was just happenstance way later when, you work at the mall, you work next to Electronics Boutique, and your buddy works there, and somebody rolls in with their, older brother's Nintendo 64, and they're going to give them $6 store credit for it, and it's like, dude next door will give you $10 cash. It's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Then again, that's when you could also get what's now considered retro games for nothing. This fancy PS2 stuff and whatnot, nobody wanted their, old Nintendo, their old this and that, so.
Oh, I mean, current generation, that's going to be impossible. Because it's all digital download, digital purchase.
Yep.
Like, there is going to be no collecting beyond... They're still selling stuff for, like, the Xbox One and the PS4, PS5, I guess, now. But it's like...
Maybe like a non-fungible token for like
Well, but it's not even if you buy a game. Like I've got a couple up here, but if you buy a game for say Xbox One, you put it in the console and it downloads the game offline and runs updates on it.
Yeah.
So what happens when they
so that's like
updates?
It's like having a dongle basically. It's just a license to play the game. You have to put the disc in to be able to play. But it's going to download it offline anyway and install it, so it's just a CD key.
Right. And what happens
at that point, why?
I agree. Well, even Nintendo did the Super Mario Sunshine remake, usually remastered, and was it Universe and 64? That was only like a limited run for cases and like hard copies up till February.
Yeah.
So... If you didn't get it, well, then you're a collector.
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm saying that from a stance of a person that loves their physical media.
Same.
Yeah. I have no reason to go buy a game for an Xbox. Like I'm just going to buy the digital one because it's not the game that's on there.
I agree.
And what's going to happen with? Now your PlayStation 2, as long as you keep it clean and stuff like that and whatnot, that thing should theoretically just keep running. You can play that thing 30 years from now, as long as you can find some sort of like connection that'll go from AV to, crystalline structure, whatever the heck they're using at that point. But with the current stuff, you download that game and it relies on, servers and updates and stuff like that. Are you going to be able to play that in 10 years? Or is the company going to say, like, no, you've had your run on it. It's like, you've been able to use this game for the last 5 years. That's the expected life expectancy of it, so have a nice day.
Yeah, we removed it from the store. It's no longer available. You can't play it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
After you paid
it's a digital licensing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bogus.
Yeah, but if enough people make us think about it too, they'll bring it back up. So. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about a lot of that stuff at this point. I do think there's another thing to be said about it, that if you put a game out on PS2, it had to be right. The game had to be vetted. It had to be finished.
Yeah.
You couldn't say we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, you can't just patch it.
Yeah, I agree.
And some of those games were glitchy as well. Get Out too. It was like there were ones that came out that were definitely not up to snuff, but they suffered the consequence.
That's
yeah.
True.
Yeah, they just, like, people found out real quick not to buy it, and they just did terribly. Now, it's like a game will come out, they'll charge you $60 for a giant pile of crap.
Yep.
And in some cases, they'll fix it. In others, they, like, can't.
Or they recharge you for DLC, which would fix it. Like, one of my favorite game series did that, and I was, like, so upset by it. Fallout 76 was like that. It's like a game. There was no NPCs. It was just like you and other people in like an online world. That was your only form of interaction. But then it was like everyone bitched and moaned like, "Oh, this sucks. It doesn't feel like Fallout. Like there's no NPCs. I'm trying to. All I see is like previous dead people to get information from." It's like, oh, they fixed it real quick. But it's like, then they started being like, "Oh, but if you want it, you also need to pay for the DLC." And it's like, we paid $65 for this game, which sucks. Oh, that's New York State tax. I don't know if you guys get taxed on video games, but.
But you know what's wild though? It's like if we go back to, my Intellivision games from 1984 maybe. It's like you look. I have some of the boxes at home because of course physical media. That's what we do. The pricing on some of those boxes, it's like $3 for a game in like 1983 money.
Yeah,
it's wild. It's like how like consistent it has stayed for the most part.
Yeah,
but even into the 90s and stuff like that, when you used to go to Toys R Us and you had to pick the little slit off the wall and then bring it up to the guy in the cage to pay for it. To entering your credit card numbers on there. That weird loss of like,
Yeah.
Well, that stuff wasn't regulated back then either, like it is now.
And I mean, you're talking DLC in-game purchase content, like which really became super popular from mobile gaming.
Yeah.
Where you can put a game out for free and then just make an absolute killing off of people paying for little things in game.
$1 here, $1 there.
A little something to make the game run.
Like even like him, he plays a lot of Pokemon Go. You can just buy experience points real quick for a few dollars at a time, and next thing you know, it's like, oh crap, I'm $200 deep in this free mobile game.
Well, or like you can buy Pokeballs, right? Because like you either earn them at a slow rate, or if you want to just keep playing.
That's the thing, if you want to be able to keep going, whereas, and there's a whole bunch of games like that. It's like, well, it's going to take 2 hours for this to build, and it's like, but if you want to use 47 gems, it's like you can make it go in 2 minutes, but those 47 gems are going to cost you,
Or those 47
gems.
It
might be $5, and you're like, look, man, I've got 2 hours to kill right now, and I really just want to keep doing this. So yeah, fine, take my $5.
Yeah.
But yeah, you end up doing it a bunch of times, and you're like, all right, this is stupid.
What were I think we were talking about on the way down here. We're talking about video games. We were talking about throwing quarters into arcade games, and it's like damn, it's like how much did we drop on an arcade game?
Just to get an extra life before you died the last time, so you didn't have to restart and everything.
And yet you won't pay that 99 cents for an app. It's like
Yeah. Well, I find it funny. Most games, if you don't need to play it online, if you put your phone in airplane mode, it won't run ads on all the ad games and stuff. It won't even run them because it can't. It can't.
Can't
queue up
all the time. This water game I play.
Yeah, there's a couple I played.
Free
On,
cheat
like,
there for you.
Yeah.
like
Life hack.
no, airplane mode.
Yep.
But even all the in-game purchase stuff, they're really just moving everything to subscription based now.
Oh, really?
Like Microsoft keeps buying game studios, Bethesda, and all sorts of other stuff.
Yep, Bethesda was one of them.
And they're putting everything on their Game Pass, which is you pay $15 a month, you can play any game in their catalog.
Yep.
It's the streaming service kind of feature
Yep.
where they tap the IV in and they're getting $15 a month whether you're paying.
Whether you're playing or not.
Yeah.
And you've got access to all the different games. So, like, I get it on one hand. I might buy this game one time for $60.
Yep.
And maybe there's like 4 other games I want to try. I'm not going to buy them to not play them all. Whereas with Game Pass, all right, I'll download this one, play it for 5 minutes, whatever.
Yep.
Love it or hate it.
For $60, it's like, well, that's 4 months of being able to like play and try things out or whatever. But
yeah,
You want to hear something really crazy about what you're talking about? You know why Microsoft did that though? To like kill GameStop in a sense.
Oh yeah.
GameStop came out with like this genius like rental idea. So it's like you can rent the game, and on your 6th rental, you can choose one of those 6 games you rented to keep for free.
Well, you used to be able to rent games. You used to be able to go to Blockbuster. You used to be able to go to Wegmans.
Yep.
And, like, try something. And that's what we did a lot because it was like, well, it's like if you were gonna drop your
Paycheck on the
teenage
Titanic.
we're barely Christmas money or like that. If you're gonna spend $40 or $50 on a Genesis game, it was worth like the $2 to go and try it out and be like, oh, this is cool. Or like, wow, this is hot garbage.
Well, or some of them you'd rent it for a week or two, you'd play through the whole thing, and you're like,
cool.
All right, good. I'm glad
Glad I played it. But
I'm glad I played it, and it only cost me $8.
Yeah.
And if some games they were fun to play through, there's no replay value in it. But
well, I mean, you talk about like the online and stuff like that. Like Sega Genesis had the Sega channel at one point, which is mind-boggling that was like a thing back in the day where you could play games and stuff like that via cable.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
yeah, I vaguely remember that actually. We were not a Sega family, so.
That's
I mean, I know a lot more about it now just because of all like the nerdy crap that I watch on YouTube and stuff like that. Just I don't play a ton of retro video games. I like watching, people talk about them.
It's not about gaming actually. It's like there's a lot of game series I love watching, and then like I can't wait to go play it. And then when I play, I'm like, yeah, I have no interest. I'd rather watch this guy play it.
I
like
get
sports,
that.
That's like,
I get that a lot, and like some of them are. There's a couple games I played recently that it's more like watching a movie. The game itself is not all that difficult.
Yeah.
It's just got a cool story to it.
I agree.
Takes a handful of days to play through. It's like a $15 or $20 game. Super enjoyable.
Yeah.
Making super enjoyable, like Mount Your Friends. That was fun to watch you play last night.
Mount Your Friends is a game that I play about 5 minutes at a time. Like once a month, maybe.
But
yeah.
still.
I barely remember you playing it. Sleeping.
You might have fallen asleep. It was so soothing seeing the swinging dicks.
Yep.
Hypnotizing, you
very,
might
very,
say.
very pendulous.
I saw the dicks and I just passed out.
Welcome to the Retro Gaming Channel. So
Yeah, well, that's fine. I'm
sure we can go down a rabbit hole about house renovations too if you want.
I was going to ask you about house renovations actually
Really?
because you pretty much gutted a whole section of your house and redid it.
Yeah, it sucked.
When you bought it.
But it was great. Well, depends which section of the house. I've done many sections now.
All right. I don't know.
Do you want the timeline one, or do you just want like things I'm proud of?
Yeah, sure. No.
Take it step
all right,
by step.
Give me one you're proud of and
Okay.
one that was a complete pain that you hated every minute of.
All right, fine. The proud one is probably my fireplace. I made the mantle. I'm not like a good woodworker at all. I have no patience for it. like wood, flexes and moves a little bit, and you can like try to clamp it down and get. I have no patience. I whipped that thing up in like 30 minutes, and it came out really good. And here I am, just like. Meanwhile, I try other wood projects. I put like 2 hours into it. No like progress is done. I like throw everything on the ground. Like, F this shit. I'm through this,
Mm-hmm.
The one I'm not proud of was we had this 3-season room, our very first project, and it was supposed to be like a simple. Okay, we gotta pitch the roof higher so we can get a door from the house to this room. There was no door. You had to go outside of the house, walk down the driveway to enter this stupid room. And I was like, that's pretty dumb. Like, what if it's raining? Are we going to get wet, or are you going to stay in the room? Pick your poison. So we pitched the roof up, like, not a big deal. That actually went really smooth. Believe it or not, again, I'm not a real man. My girlfriend shingled about 80% of it, and I kind of just, like, set the book so she had to keep going. So like you set the staggers so she can. So like she shingled like 80% of it, but she also learned the hard way the reason why I do things. So it was like 2 p.m. The sun's just beating down on that roof. I was waiting for about 5 p.m. when the sun just started setting on the other side of the house, so it was shaded. Mm-hmm. So when we got done shingling it, it was in the shade, and she's like, "Oh, it's so nice now." I'm like, "Yeah, imagine this whole time it could have been shaded, and you would have loved life more."
Yeah.
But you wanted it done right then and there. So, but that wasn't the disaster part. The disaster part was, so we got the new roof in. A friend, I actually hired a contractor to put the door in, my buddy Ian, because like one, I'm not gonna carry a big masonry saw like up on a wall that weighs like 100 pounds. Again, not.
And also cutting through masonry.
Yeah, just not man enough to like hold a saw. A big.
It's also one of those things that like, if you're not used to that tool, you're gonna do a poor job, and it's just dangerous for you when you're not used to it.
Pretty much. So we ended up having him do it. He banged out in a day. I took off that work to like just not supervise, but just like write the check. And so I started like taking apart the inside of the structure because we were just gonna redo the inside. The whole room was rotted. The one corner wasn't even touching the ground. So here I am like stomping on the roof last week that I put up and like, yeah, this thing's solid, it ain't going anywhere. I'm sure if I jumped in that corner, the walls would went like down in.
Raised the roof, but didn't check the. Yeah.
Well, we didn't think anything of it. Like it's a solid structure.
Yeah.
And then like you take it all apart and you're like, oh, there's carpenter ants eating this thing. The one corner is not touching the ground. There's dead birds. Like, there was no wall, but there was no like board between the actual siding and the inside of this room. So it's like
cavity.
I got rabbits dead in there. I'm like, oh, jeez, like, so I had to re-support that roof I put up with 4x2 or 4x4s and just like knocked down a wall, rebuilt it, knocked down another wall, rebuilt it, and then.
But on the plus side, it looks fantastic. So
I'm not proud of that room.
It looks fantastic.
I think it looks like shit.
You're always harsher on your own projects then.
Mm-hmm.
No, the fireplace came out amazing. I'm not mad about that. But the room I'm not proud of. Like I'm ready to like knock it all back down and redo it. I wish I would have like stabilized the walls to the house more, so like it doesn't sound like a clunking piece of shit. But it could just be shitty windows too.
Yeah. So. I mean, sometimes you're just too familiar with it too.
Yeah.
I think it goes hand in hand with the being harsher on your own projects thing, but
right.
Like
I notice every flaw. I notice every flaw in everything I do, but it's like somebody else walks in. Wow, this looks great. I'm like,
yeah.
If I don't point it out, they won't even notice.
I'm stubborn.
That's even like yesterday we're talking about how that trim on that door is different than what you've seen in the past. I'm like, yeah, and the paint up in the ceiling, and you're like, yeah. I mean, someone would notice that eventually, but
I noticed it, but I make those mistakes too.
Well, so, and like at some point, we'll probably just paint the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then I can get a white spot on the wall, and we can perpetually play this game over and over.
Fix the ceiling, fix the wall. Fix the ceiling, fix the wall.
Yeah.
But it's like there's so many different versions of white. Like you can't just go get white ceiling paint and fix that spot.
Yeah.
It's laughable.
I agree.
Like we're just gonna have to do it at some point.
Right.
had we caught it right away, we probably could have wet paper toweled it off of there and had no issue.
Right.
Maybe a mild discoloration, but
Yeah, anything you do right now is just gonna make the matter worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we have wood for our ceiling, so I can't see.
I think I don't know about you, but it's like doing any home improvement stuff right now has just been caused by spending so much time in my home. Because it's like, you know, working from home for the last year, it was like oh my god, it's like some of this, just it needed to be done for a long time, but it just kind of got to the point where it was just like I'm sick of looking at this constantly. So it's like sweet, we're gonna put in some
I'm not
floors,
to that point yet.
You'll get there.
I had enough projects on my backlog that I wanted to do, or in some ways needed to do.
Yeah. Because
when I got the house, I immediately had to redo that porch.
I remember the stairs, yeah.
I mean, the whole thing was rotted. And I didn't replace the substructure. So if we go out under here, you can tell that the substructure's still, like, got all the green growth on it, and it's less ideal than it should be.
Right.
But ultimately, it would have been easier to rip that thing off completely and rebuild it from the ground up than it was to even repair it the way it was.
I agree. That's how I feel about my 3-season room. Should have just tore the whole thing down.
Yeah, and just either not had it or built an addition proper.
Yeah, pretty much.
With that porch setup, I was just glad that was my first homeowner project because it's something I know I can do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not much of an electrical guy. Not good with a lot of, like, painting and drywall and stuff like that. So a woodworking project was up my alley. I'm like, all right, you know, I just got done with having the ice house. I've helped out building ramps for years. Like, I can build.
You know how to cut a straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you know how to build something that holds people up, like a ramp deck.
And then, like, right after that, I had all my tools in this room and a whole bunch of stuff stored in the workshop. So I'm like, all right, next up, the office. Like, I need to have something in here. So I built this desk. And I built only the desk. I didn't build the credenza at that point.
Right.
It was in my vision for it, but I never did it. I was just like, I don't really care that much. So I had all my books and everything just stored in a box in there.
It's almost like you should have actually switched these, like, 2 rooms around.
Well, that's a different discussion. I'll get there in a second.
Okay.
So after I did the desk, I
couldn't fit it in there.
Well, I was like, all right, cool. But now all my stuff's jammed in that room, and that room was completely unusable.
Right.
I'm like, all right, we need a shed now. So that I can get all that crap out of there.
Yeah.
So that I can then put a workbench in here. And I couldn't put a workbench in there till I had a shed. So we bought that vinyl shed, and it got delivered here. And then I was super busy, and I never had time to build it. I never even had time to build a foundation. So I finally got time. Dug, yeah. I dug all the stuff, like, dug down to put my bracing in and everything, because I wanted it off that side of the house, but to open under the porch so you could just walk out there and access the shed. When I got everything dug down and level, the door was an inch too high. It was going to be an inch too high.
Oh my god.
So, like, my preliminary measurements were pretty close.
Yeah.
But just the way it worked out to be level wasn't going to work there.
Did you just
so I
notch out the
filled it all back in.
Yeah.
And decided to put it down there.
Gotcha.
After I had already filled in over an old shed foundation. So there's a shed foundation on the other side of the yard.
Yeah.
And it's still there. It's just filled with dirt now. But that shed that used to be there was taken down before we bought the house because it rotted out.
Yeah.
All the French drains drained to under it. So it's not a good place to have a shed anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, we're not putting it there.
French drain for those of us on the podcast that don't know what String.
You have Google.
True.
So it's buried drain along the house. And then like gravel filter.
All around it, yeah, and it just kind of pushes it out.
Yeah, it just allows the water to move freely away from your foundation. But then it runs into piping that then discharges under where that shed was.
So basically just keeping it nice.
I mean, the whole thing just rotted from underneath.
Just nice and moist the whole time.
Yeah. So it's cool. So anyway, got that done with the help of James.
Yep.
Because I wasn't gonna get that thing put together alone.
I got those Snapchat.
Yeah. I bought a gas auger just to get that deep enough. We started digging and it was awesome clay. And I moved about 3 feet over, and it was like just junk fill. Oh. Where the yard ended and they've been backfilling to extend the yard.
Yeah.
So we were digging through cinder blocks and all sorts of trash. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to use a post hole digger to get through this crap to put anchors in for this thing. So I went and bought an auger. And then I'm like, all right, I'm using this to do this whole thing. So I just like poked a bunch of holes rather than getting a tiller as well. And then dug it all out. And James and I dug most of that out. And then I went back through because we had this much ground clearance for the cross supports. And I'm like, we need airflow under this, and I still need to put a stone base down. So I went through and went about another foot deep on my own.
Yeah.
Good workout, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Especially when you dig through crap.
And then, on top of it, I had made the foundation the size that it, like, the shed was. And I had to dig so deep to get it level that now the ground was actually higher than the doors. And I'm like, I'm just going to put an extension on this foundation off the back and float it. And then I'll have a porch and the doors will always open over it.
Yeah.
My shed I had at my parents' house, it was elevated and there were stairs to it, but every year, the way the ground shifted, the stairs would shift up and block the door. And I'm like, I actually never want to deal with the shed not opening because of the ground. So I'm like, I should have built it with the porch anyway. But it turned into just such a project to build that thing.
Oh, I bet.
But then I got everything out. The shed's full already. About halfway through building the foundation and getting all that stuff done, I'm like, for how much I paid for the stupid vinyl shed and then all the wood at COVID rates, I should have just bought a 20-foot shipping container, and that could have been delivered, dropped in my yard, and it would have been good to go.
Yep, pretty much.
For like $2,000.
Yep. And then if you really wanted to, a tiny house down the line.
Yeah.
That's trendy too.
Well, I mean, the 20-foot shipping container, you can just drop and then like have it picked up later if you don't want it.
True. But everyone got these $1,400 stimulus checks.
Yeah.
Rent for $1,400 and evict them.
So what you're telling me is that you can get a shipping container with my stimulus check.
Almost just.
You should totally get a shipping container.
You should. I'm all for it.
I think with any house project, that's you jump into it thinking like, okay, it's gonna be this, this, and this until you start getting into it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, it's like this was rot, or this was uneven, or this was something.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, those ones are super easy though. Like the hardest one of any of these things, the desk, the deck, the shed and shed foundation and workbench, which I hadn't gotten to yet, but workbench.
Yeah.
The hardest one was the deck, because every piece had to be cut to fit what was there prior.
Yeah.
With the desk, like I had something drawn up what I wanted to do. I had my cut list. I cut all the boards, brought them in here, pieced it all together.
Yeah.
Then put it up on some stands so that I could then put the legs on the frame.
Yeah.
And then level it out. I mean, it is not professional grade woodworking by any stretch of the matter, but it's a desk and it works.
Yeah.
And
are you happy with it?
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Yeah. Here's what anyone else thinks about it.
I do wish I could take it with me if and when we decide to either move or upgrade houses or whatever. But I can just build another one, and so this is now an integrated desk.
It is now a home office for when you sell the house.
Yeah.
But
people can come
for the future of work from home.
The credenza was an add-on that I did at the beginning of the COVID stuff when I started working from home. I'm like, all right, should probably just finish this desk.
Yeah.
So.
Is that what that's called?
I also had never done a wiring project before, so I'm like, all right, I'm putting electrical on this. We're gonna put all the lights in. We're gonna put power to it so that we've got the outlets like way more than we need.
Are those load-bearing outlets or no?
What do you mean?
The way your shelf is above them. Just wondering if you're using the supports.
Would you use like some wood screws? Would be fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, the sheer weight of it would be
fine. That project came out better than I expected it to for not really being an electrical guy and not planning it, but like I know how circuits work, so it's like
but
whatever.
The skill of a true electrician is like somehow getting the wire through the house, like through drywall.
And, you know,
fishing things through and not.
I am not that guy. If it comes down to doing that type of stuff, like it's hire someone.
Yeah.
I tried to run a cat cable like from my attic down to where my computer was.
Yeah.
And if you next time you stop over, you'll see what I had to do to get it where I needed to go. Because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just fish it through the wall, no problem. Well, I started hitting something.
Yeah.
And it's like didn't have a drill bit long enough, and I'm like, okay, what am I drilling through? So go in my kitchen above my stove and open up the cabinet. You'll notice that there's 3 holes, and there's finally one where the cable came out, and then I just ran it like there must have been like a header or something at one point. And I just drilled another hole below that, so the cable comes out, loops, and goes back in the wall there, and then it drops right down.
Yeah. And
it's like, oh, it worked.
You know,
it's like
something really funny is from my not like a true electrician, but I know like from like doing things on the side for people and whatnot. There's in the back of my closet, there's no drywall or anything. For like that reason. So I was like, all right, if I ever got a fish wire from the basement to the 2nd floor at ease, I have a spot. Like I don't have to sit there and try to like drill and BS through it all. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at that point I'm just gonna hire someone.
Yeah.
If I have to get into electrical stuff, I know where my strong suits are, and that's not one of them.
Yeah. It can be frustrating.
Painting, I don't really have the patience for it. Like I'm a very patient person, but I don't hold the attention to detail.
Right.
Better left to a professional.
Yeah. I guess I was so mind blown when he was painting your house. We have our buddy Dennis.
Shout out to Dennis, painter extraordinaire.
OSHA specialist.
There's an OSHA approved bucket. He was fine. Yeah. So.
Nice.
Just a 5-gallon bucket. Just crushed out this hallway. Crushed out this everything. So fast. Didn't do any prep.
I painted my bathroom. It took me a week. That was after having some other folks come and do the trim work, and it was just doing the walls, and that took me. So like with it covered in plastic and whatnot, and he just makes makes it look like 2 different colors too in that hallway. Like one wall was an accent wall, so it was like bam, crushed it.
Yeah, Rachel did more of the painting than I did. I don't mind the trim work. I'll do the trim, kind of like the I guess the more detail oriented side of it.
Right.
But like when it comes to the actual painting itself, Rachel's like, I kind of find it soothing just to roll. I'm like, all right, well, good, because you can do it. That is not for me. I'm not about it. So I'll trim it out. She can paint it.
That works.
I guess it works. I don't know.
Now, the drop ceiling coming with the house?
Yeah. And it was put in too high. as you can tell, all through the house, where there's drop ceiling, there's bulges, like that one.
Yeah.
There's a heat vent out there that, like, the tile is practically breaking because of how far up they have it set.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always that catch-22.
But I hate drop ceiling, but it's better than exposed beams, I guess.
There's other options.
Yeah, I mean, you could actually just, like, put ceiling in, too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm kind of working on in my house. Is like a slow-moving project. I started it in, like, November. When I renovated my house, I ran all the electrical lines in the basement. So crappy. It sagged down, and then, like, and I did it because I knew that one day, because, like, again, when I renovated our house and we gutted the whole front, I didn't have a kitchen. I had no plumbing. So it's like, I had to get all this stuff done so we can, like,
function.
Yeah, so we can have a place to wash dishes and, like, so I ran all the electrical, like, to the breaker panel so crappy, so I spent, like, the last, like, years of months of 2020 just, like, running wire, like, drilling holes through the ceiling. It's like the long vision's like, I want everything to be up in the rafters so I can hang a ceiling up and not worry about it, you know. So water lines are the next project.
So we'll tap back to how you guys said, man, it would make more sense to have the office flipped.
Oh yeah.
With the workshop. So before I bought the house, there was a garage door here.
Really?
If you step outside, you can see where it's blocked
like an
in.
Underground garage.
It was a full garage, all the way up into there. Whoever owned it before me blocked the door in, built an office here. And in my mind, I'm like, that's cool, but wouldn't it make more sense to have the office up there with like a faux wall in front of the breaker and everything so that you can get in there or whatever, access it.
Is there no window in there, or is there a window?
There's a window.
Okay. I was thinking maybe they did it here because they could have a window, but...
Yeah, no, there's windows in there. But I think they were probably selling insurance or something out of this, like a home office.
Yeah.
So they did, they don't want you to come in and walk through a garage to get in there.
And this way here, they could just go out the back door.
But yeah, I mean, it would be way cooler to have a functioning garage and an office than an office and a workshop.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, it's not really the biggest deal. It's just kind of dumb when you think about it.
Some of us has 3-car garages that you can barely park a car in, so
Yeah.
I mean, some of us have 3-car garages that are more like a bike shop.
Yeah.
That's not bragging that I have a huge house. It's just garage is probably about the same size as my house.
Might be true.
I wish I had a garage, so.
I
trade a bay for a basement.
Kind of do.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish I had a garage.
Yeah.
But if I had a garage, it would probably be like the ice house and full of ramps anyway.
That's fine though. I mean, garages are for the hobbies. That's what they're there for. That's why I want a garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do when you come up to Buffalo. We'll grab some random bins of like mid-school parts and just like pile a bunch of things and be like, all right, give me your opinion on this.
I mean, we already talked about that at one point. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but
I think it would be fun.
We should just get you a 6-pack or a 12-pack or something. I mean, it depends on how loose we want you to be for this. But if we get you, let's say a 12-pack deep, and we just show you one mid-school part out of your collection and just let you talk about it for an hour. I don't care where the discussion goes. But that could be an entire web series of just drunk Kevin talks about mid-school parts.
There has been that thought. It's like, where does the career path lead from here? It's like, YouTube seems like it's viable, right? It's like, that's a moneymaker.
but do you want to be drunk Kevin? Or do you just want to be Miss Kevin?
I don't know, man. It's like if the dollars were there, I guess. It's like any sport. Watch me harm my body for your entertainment.
See, because then you can get drunk Kevin talks about mid-school BMX, sponsored by your favorite alcoholic beverage company.
and favorite out of
or today's sponsor is like
McNeil.
Was it the those 10% alcohol cherries that you buy at the gas station?
It's true.
So every week you're on a different type of
Different
drunk
vendor.
buzz.
Yeah. Oh, this week he's on gin. He gets real talkative on gin.
No, there was so much to talk about him.
There's
For the Primo casket stuff.
there's one that he just gets really cranky on, and he's just like, I don't want to talk about this part. This part's stupid.
Yeah, there's definitely some potential there for that. I'm just kind of curious. I've talked to you about it. I've talked to Brant about it. Same
Yeah.
thing. It's like where it's like, just there's so much just random stuff where things now are very samey. So it's like like, oh, here's a stem. It looks like every other stem except it's machined here instead of here.
It's probably made in the same factory in Taiwan, anyways.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could pair it with the series of where you give like genuine product reviews like that about new stuff that comes out. You're like, yeah, here's the new whatever stem. It does look exactly like every other stem. I'm not really sure what the selling point is. Why would you buy this one?
This is a stem. It holds your it holds your bars. Pick your favorite brand.
Oh,
Go.
it's also a signature rider stem too.
Oh, yeah. They'll get their 25 cents for
Just be careful. Don't buy the colored ones because they powder coated it, and they powder coated where in the clamping area. And now you got to sit here with a wire Dremel tool and clean that all out. Shout out to the Shadow stem from a handful of years ago.
Did you buy the frost and color one to match your shirt?
I had a bright orange one.
Yeah.
It was, I can't remember what the model was, but it was powder coated in the clamping area.
Mine.
And it did not matter if you used like an 8-foot pole to extend your Allen key. The bars would still slip because it's plastic on the plastic powder of the overcoated bars that I had at the time too.
Remember, kids, if you're gonna use an extension to tighten your stuff, you're probably just gonna break your bolts.
But make sure it's 8 feet long.
You have to know the feeling of don't go any further on this bolt. When it starts to skip as you're rotating it, you're at the point where you're done. Don't put an extension on it now.
That's every Walmart e-bike or whatever like that I build, where it's like I look at the BMX stem on it and I go like, okay, one of these is stripped out. Which one? Or it's like it's like somebody just went on there and just like instead of like cross tightening everything, they just like hammered down on one. They cranked the other ones down. They either crack the faceplate or something.
Mm-hmm.
Very common.
I like that mid 2000s when everything was getting light era of
Let's just
the
shell everything out.
split stem caps. And not even when it was two separate pieces, but when it would be like a C.
Jeez.
And it was split, but it was connected at one end. And if you didn't cross tighten that properly, it just broke it in half.
Oh my.
Oh, that was like the Eastern one. I think had like not to shout out to Eastern, but it's like it was like two curved like
There were a
and the
handful.
bolts mounted in there. Oh god, yeah. There was a lot of excessive machining.
They try
in that
to
era.
innovate a lot in that weird weight wingy era.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
How much material can we cut away? It's like
At the same time, there were other brands that were like, screw that, we're just doing something different. I'm thinking of
Odyssey Elementary stuff.
there was a company, and it was like they were probably in the roughly the same boat as GrindWorks as far as like being kind of just a small regional brand, I would say.
Right.
And I don't remember what they were called, but they made a stem similar to the kink crossbolt, where it was only two bolts that you could see.
Is it Evco?
But the face was a skull. And the eyes were the two bolts, and then the other ones came in from the back side of the front load stem, or the bottom side on their top load version.
Right. Oh shit.
Yeah.
It was like a
Because
smaller.
they
niche,
had it at
like,
the subdivision trade show. They had a booth there. So they weren't like super, super small.
Yeah.
But I can't think of what that company was.
But that's
But
pretty cool though. Like
it was pretty cool looking.
Yeah. That's what BMX is sometimes. Cool, like
moderately more functional on the top load version, where like you could access the eye bolts from the top and the other ones from the bottom.
Yeah.
Rather than the front load version, where like okay, the eyes are pretty accessible.
Like that. I'm just saying, like something like that.
Oh gosh.
That may have been Flatland, but
this was something else, but no. Stems.
Yeah, I mean they tried.
I guess you have a camera too. What am I doing?
Yeah, there is. I did find the skull one. I was trying to.
Yeah, I don't remember that company name.
It was a weird era BMX.
Reaper prototype.
Maybe.
Was something like that, or is
No.
No, that's
an actual skull.
That's like way more intricate. I wonder if there's a vendor list from the Subdivision trade show at East Coast
Drive
Terminal.
had a weird, crazy stem thing going on.
Drive was one of those companies that like you literally couldn't find any of their products because you couldn't. If you Googled Drive BMX, like everything came up, but them. Nope. No. It wasn't that intricate. It wasn't that intricate.
It was just more like a skull
painted
faceplate.
What was it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hate just sitting here looking stuff up while we
Well, you guys do that.
try to do this, but
that's one of those things where it's like, you know it exists. Now you're just curious if actually somebody has a picture of it somewhere.
yeah. All right, 2005 Subdivision BMX specific trade show. Let's see if there's a list of vendors or if there's any like cool stuff.
Yeah, you think
I don't think
Googling
so.
like skull BMX stem would like give you something, but
2005 on Fat BMX. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't remember the name of that company. I guess it doesn't really matter because they were like a little blip on the radar. But anyone that
I've got
knows,
one of those bad boys at home.
oh,
That is a chunk of aluminum.
yeah, the Fishbone. Fishbone made some weird stuff, dude.
I could go on about that.
I know.
I'm pretty convinced that I have like probably the largest Fishbone collection on the East Coast. It's all horrible, and that's what's wonderful about it.
I really feel like you need to do something with your newfound free time. Well, even just a little simple YouTube series about that.
That would be interesting.
Because they don't even need to be that long of episodes. You could do 15, 20-minute cuts about each product. You could probably record about like 10 of them a day. And then not have to do them. You record 10 of them, upload them all to YouTube with with staggered delays.
We could do like the standard reviews, and then we could do the drunk reviews, like as like a special, like once a month or once a week, kind of like
drunk or hammered.
Depends.
Depends.
By the 10th one he recorded that night, it's hammered reviews.
And it only ends with him on the ground with piss all over the floor.
With a special guest, Josh Sorrentino and his White Claws.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I drink a lot of those because my girlfriend's celiac, so...
Get your white girl wasted, that'd be great.
You're not supposed to talk about her.
I know, but I get white girl wasted with her all the time.
Am I allowed to talk about Josh's girlfriend?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great, fantastic. So
my understanding is she explicitly said that Josh can't.
Right. So.
That's what she told me. Don't you dare talk about me. It's embarrassing. Anyone else can, but you can't. Yeah.
Just trust us more. It's funny.
I'm just more honest.
I don't know. We'll have to add that to the career checklist right now. See, maybe it's YouTube personality is the way to go. So.
Good.
I mean,
if you can get 50 regular listeners on this, it's like, sure.
I mean, what's wrong with them? Who's listening to this, Josh?
I'll listen to it. Yeah, I listen to every one.
Are you gonna listen to this one?
No, I thought about that when I was taking a leak.
That's pretty fair. I don't listen to them unless I have to.
Yeah. Like when you're editing it.
Well, I don't really edit these for the most part.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it just kind of goes.
I just
they roll.
Put them up.
Yeah.
There's been a couple that I've edited.
Yeah.
One of them I had to edit because it was included some legal stuff that was a pending lawsuit still, and he said more than he should have.
Right.
He's like, hey, can you take that out? I'm like, yeah, no big deal. Another one, the dude just, like, I talk slow and I pause a lot, and I know I do.
Yeah.
I asked this dude a question, and he stared at me for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
How southern was he?
Not. But I asked him like a pretty simple question, and he just like,
The reenactment is in real time.
Yeah.
and then he just, and then he answered it, and I'm like, okay. And that is pretty much everything. The whole interview was like super slow.
Oh.
Well, I
No.
didn't want to be disingenuous with some of it, but like, I also need to make us all look like we're competent,
Functioning human beings.
and I think he was nervous at the beginning because it tightened up later.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then what I found myself editing every cut between every question and like even within sentences to bring it in and be listenable.
What was the shave time? I'm kind of curious. Like it started off as this.
I don't remember. I should have.
You should have wrote. That's like
Some
a
of these
post-it
do
note
wander, some of
worthy.
these wander kind of long. It's like, it's kind of interesting.
Well, I mean,
That's what's
I
too
can
long.
find that out pretty easily because I've got the two files.
Yeah.
I've got the raw recording and I've got the edited version.
Yeah. Yeah, you can send me that in a text.
Yeah.
And one day, out of the blue, I'll just know.
But then I found out, like, when I was tightening his stuff up, then I'm like, well, I might as well tighten mine up too. So it was like every couple words I had to go through and cut time out of, and it was
kind of crazy.
I'm like, I freaking hate editing podcasts.
I bet.
So I just don't tend to do it.
I still say that I think a mobile podcast at the bicycle heaven would be sweet. At some, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, someday.
After you get through your whole collection, then we can go there and we can start doing. We can talk about their collection.
And then we can do other people's collections. I'll be the manager.
Okay, cool.
Sounds
good.
I'll hold the camera.
How much of a percentage do you?
I'll help you get started with your podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think YouTube's probably the way to go for the visual aspect that you're trying to present.
Well, I know this time we actually have the full visual, whereas like the last time that I was with you was only partial visual. So.
Well, and I think a lot of people might still just listen. Like if you're doing, hey, look at this fishbone stem or whatever,
But
like it's ridiculous.
Enough,
Well, you can be descriptive about it, like really down to the details and like really describe it. But also, you're probably going to put up a podcast announcement post on Instagram and you just put a picture of it there for people that are then going to go listen to the audio in their car.
True.
And some people just
Or
like
some people already
like to
know.
listen, yeah.
Some people already know exactly which freaking part you're talking about, too.
And some people just like to listen and just be like, hey, it's like, you
Yeah.
know.
I never watched a podcast visually. Only listened to
I mean, it's too much of a pain to listen on YouTube.
well,
Like, you can't just, like, close the app and minimize it while you're driving or something.
Well, if you pay for the,
Yeah. If the only feature anyone's ever requested out of YouTube, you have to pay for.
Yep. They were smart.
Yeah.
They're very smart.
Yeah. I think you should definitely do that though. I'll get you.
A career change.
be interesting.
Being an influencer.
Well, even if not, like I said, like if you're only doing 15-20 minutes on a part, because really beyond that, how much do you have to say?
Once your filming area is set up, that's
half
the battle right
and
there.
you can, if you've got 2 hours and you got 10 parts pulled out or whatever, like you can do a whole bunch of them consecutively.
Yeah.
And then you break them into separate episodes, upload them all to YouTube, put alternate days release time on them, because you can upload them all at one time and with premiere times.
Yeah, and people do video games, people do toy reviews and stuff like that. Is there anybody that really does any
I haven't looked.
retro BMX stuff? Like,
you should do.
and not being like, serious and douchey.
Well, and I'm sure that as soon as you start doing it and people start catching it,
right,
you're gonna start getting a bunch of requests. Oh, do this part. Oh, do that part, and you're like,
send it to me.
Another thing too is maybe you should do like a brief history on it too. Do like nothing crazy, but just like when it came out, the idea behind it, real quick.
Pull up the dance catalog that shows it. So.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm just thinking like you could realistically crank out a bunch of these in one short period of time to only have to do it once a week or so.
I have to go to work this week. And then 3 hours goes by. Oh, that was rough.
But I don't know. I mean, cool idea nonetheless.
Open to all suggestions. So
that's true.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we didn't really talk too much about like any. I've tried to drift away from the. What do you do? How do I know you? What's this part of your life about? Like the very formal interviews.
Yeah, those are.
Because I feel like it's more listenable when we're just hanging out.
Feels like you're in the van with the dudes,
Yeah.
Or chick dudes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about Casey Smith's podcast, the Yeah Dude Sick.
Yeah.
Is it just feels like deck talk.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Yeah. Like sometimes it's very topical, other times it's just whatever you guys would talk about on the deck of a ramp anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's fun to listen to.
That's one of the sweet things about being at the age that most are at this point, where it's like when you go riding, it's like sometimes a big chunk of it is just like catching up on the deck,
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
bitching about stuff or whatever,
Speaking about complaining in general, I already know Josh's answer, but I'm going to ask you both individually. What is a trick you can do that you hate seeing someone else do? You answered it yesterday.
I know. Just waiting on Kevin to.
Oh, so you want me to go?
I already know my answer. I said it yesterday.
It's
Mine's feeble hard ones. I
Well,
don't think they look that great. At all.
like that you don't. Okay, so it's
It's a trick I haven't done in a long
Well,
time.
not so much that you don't want to see them doing it because it's your trick or anything.
yeah. For me, it's turn downs. I like doing them. They're super fun to do. I just think that, like, your average turn down is just meh. It's like, meh.
Unless it's clicked and like.
Oh, I mean, someone like Doyle that's like cranking it to 11 and whatever, 270 all the way around, making it look really, really good and twisted up is way different than like when you just get the wheel parallel with the frame again.
Yeah.
And like not up and down because there's more like a racing one sideways. Like,
yeah.
I've never felt like my turn downs look good. But I love doing them. They're super fun. And you see a lot of people doing it. It's just like, yeah,
Cool.
it's a good turn down. But it doesn't have that look. Like, an X-Up has a cool look to it. And a tabletop has a cool look to it.
And they also look good like in a still. Like that's something that this is going wandering off this. Like I feel like nothing I do looks good in a still photo because it just looks like you're falling over. Whereas like a turn down or like a good look back or something just looks, or a toboggan just looks so powerful in that still image, in that one shot. It's like that looks cool.
Yeah.
So.
I do feel like a trick you can do is a good preface to that though, because then it weasels out like, I hate bar spins because I can't bar spin. I hate tail whips because I can't.
Tail whips, so I can't tail whips. So,
Yeah.
Manual. God, what do I do?
I mean, I hate tail whip taps, but that's because I suck at them. Yesterday, like 50 tries and didn't land one. But when it's freaking cold out, I do it every time. Why? It's ridiculous.
No, I can I see your point on the feeble hards though.
Even though it's like I've done many of them. Like when I was at X Wheels days, so it was like, oh cool. But then it's like when I see them too, I'm like, oh, they never look good. And like I like the double peg, like hard ones. I mean, I think feeble easy ones look way better. Like it looks like you give like no effort and you're just like right off the ledge.
Yeah, it's very natural looking.
Yeah,
Um,
I know
never considered myself to be a like natural looking rider anyway. Not very fluent. Not. I don't know. I'm very like clunky and aggressive and hard on riding.
It's not smooth and feathery where it's like just everything just looks like super like, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something to be said about that kind of like aggressive hunk of chunk kind of like style to some degree. Like it works and you do cool shit. I mean, would a smooth rider have doubled like we doubled yesterday?
No.
That's true.
No.
What do you mean? I was pretty smooth at rotating you guys.
They wouldn't have even thought to like, you know, flip stuff over and like, you know, use things in
use the underside of the picnic table.
Yeah, use things in ways that they were no way intended to be used for.
That was a good clip though.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad I figured out how to get out of that because there was a moment there I'm like, why is this so easy but not gonna work?
Yeah.
And I know why. It's because it was a sprocket stall with no like base to it.
Right.
Like I've never been good at people can do them on sub rails and stuff or just rails. I've never been able to do it because I rely very heavily on the bounce off the wall to pull back.
Right.
So when it swings under,
you're just
or then like bounces off the ground,
yeah,
it's not the response I'm looking for.
You're basically just looping out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So. No, but that's the interesting thing. You get into something like that, and it's like, no, it's like, oh yeah, it looks easy. Just do this. It's like, no, it's not easy. It's like,
well, if someone starts moving a picnic table, you're already trying to balance and make sure you're not going to fall off the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone starts spinning, and it's a whole wrench in the operation.
Yeah.
And then go from a dead stop to movement again.
Or even movement to a dead stop. Here I am spinning you guys, and then I just stop out of the blue. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like nothing that I do tends to have flow to it.
I think was flowy yesterday.
Well, you know.
Every blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah. Even like airing a quarter. I know it's clunky. There's like a pull and a tuck that like doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
In a case, a really solid case.
That was a good case.
That was a good one.
Like, this is a great mini ramp, isn't it? And then it's like cased.
It had to have been a 2-foot air to just like.
Yeah, it was.
But you came out of it.
Which you like 2 foot not a great air. It was pretty decent on a 4-foot mini, but
that mini was so good.
it's fun.
Might just come back down here and ride that again.
I'm gonna steal that, or not steal, acquire mini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to have the mini ramp from Penn Hills or the one from Sheridan?
Well, if I steal the one from Sheridan, it's already been painted over, so I just gotta paint it a solid color. So it's easier to paint after I acquire it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but if I take the one at Penn Hill, you can have to like scratch it up and paint it up a little bit. It's a lot more preferable.
That's painted.
Is it painted?
Yeah.
I don't think it was as layered as.
Oh yeah, true.
The one at Sheridan, I think, has a couple layers on it, which gives it that nice, like,
well, I think as we talked about yesterday, I'm probably gonna end up looking into finding one of them.
Arc ramps.
Yeah, even if I
not sponsored, but could be.
Yeah, even if I can just get the transition and just build my own metal base, you know, just be the way to go too.
Yeah, like we were talking about fabricating one.
Yeah. Well, what if I mess up the fabricating and now it's like, blah, 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 like, you know, going up the ramp?
Don't.
What?
Don't mess it up.
Well, yeah, but
then I would have more fun on it because it's inconsistent.
I'll put a piece of garbage on it and you'll ride the shit out of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, that's what we were talking.
Just leave your recycling bin
well,
out. So.
Well, what was the thing I said to me and Andy were on the deck yesterday? And I'm like, oh, what's Kevin riding here? And
he found a piece of wood. Kevin's gonna ride some wood. I'm like, no, worse.
Yeah, worse. It is his little blue piece of garbage.
Chunk of bucket.
He's throwing bangers on. I'm like,
yeah, well.
Gotta make fun where you can find it. You know, it's like perfectly functional ramps. Trash pile.
I know.
I mean, again, going back to the edit concept that we got to do.
Yeah.
The doubler one you're talking about?
No, bring
oh yeah, bring the 2x4.
like a 2x4 or anything. It doesn't have to be a 2x4.
Yeah.
Just
I think
whatever.
the more comical the object, I think the better. It's like, bring a shake weight.
Oh yeah, I got one of those.
You have the grill size one.
Somebody,
That's only a 3-pound one.
Somebody air out and tap the shake weight as it's like
Shake weight and
pressing, you know.
Yeah.
Or
Tire tap it.
Yeah, do a stall and watch the center just go up and down.
If you could tire tap stall on it while it's like shake weight. You need brakes for that, so.
What if you just do a huge air over a jump? Someone throws it to you and you can just shake weight it twice while you're in the air. And then...
That'd be amazing.
Or I guess you could probably just like hold on with it and get 2 pumps.
Yeah, maybe. That's all it needs, huh?
Yeah. Get that death grip.
I like this idea. I think for your trip to Buffalo, that's what we're gonna be doing. So.
Yeah, I got 3 shake weights, so.
I meant the project, but you have to get the shake weights.
Oh
hey,
yeah, we'll bring out the shake weights.
Yeah, I mean, what if we just do a full shake weight workout in Kevin's driveway?
We could.
All 3 of us, just like
Kevin's got new
synchronized
neighbors,
shake
so
weighting.
yeah,
Yeah.
they would love
That'd
that.
be a great way to welcome the neighbors.
Get us some short shorts.
We already played basketball in the driveway, so yeah, I think shake weight's the next way to go.
I mean,
so.
that was my trip up to Buffalo.
Yeah, that was.
Playing basketball.
We played basketball and
James and I
podcast.
drove up to Kevin's.
Yeah.
And I got the Jeep for Ryder from him,
Right.
and then we played basketball and recorded a podcast. We did
We ate
not
some
ride
leftover
bikes
pizza,
at
too,
all.
Yeah.
That was that, huh? No.
Well, the weather was also hot garbage too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was like half raining.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
Kind of
Yeah.
like well.
Did it split down the
worse than
driveway
today.
too?
It's really raining out there now. What's that?
I said, did the rain like split down his driveway too?
There were no ramps, I don't think, at the driveway.
Yeah.
There was. No, there was the one. That has a deck now, so that's a
I mean, you had the weird one that
the death ramp. Yeah.
Yeah, that James likes, that Bob
That's
built.
actually a really fun ramp.
I still want to cut that thing down to something manageable, but
It is
it's like,
manageable now.
yeah, shut up. But I am also like afraid to cut it down because I feel like I'm gonna disappoint you and James and stuff like that. If I just turn it into like a wedge to wedge, you know.
Yeah, but look at it
wedge
this way.
setup.
It's not my house.
That's true. The quarter pipe is interesting, but the deck is solid as a box. When you talk about like building projects, I built that damn deck by myself. It's overkill. It's
Bullish.
it's solid.
But I mean, I have a hard time with building like normal decks for anything now. Like when I redid my deck, I'm like 16s, like centers on 16s.
All like following rules.
Well, I mean, I want to do them like every 6 inches.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then it comes to a point where the thing's so heavy, and you have to worry.
Yeah. Well, and my shed foundation too, I'm like 16s. I might have a layer of 1/2-inch ply and a layer of 3/4 ply on the shed foundation.
Yeah, because I heard the story on your other podcast.
Yeah.
Because you went to Home Depot, you bought 3/4.
No, they didn't have
you
it.
bought 1/2-inch, and then you're like, crap, I don't have enough 1/2-inch to double layer, so you go back to Home Depot. There was no 1/2-inch, but only 3/4.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's when you could afford to buy plywood. Because
No.
This was pressure treated.
Oh,
right? Was
never
it
mind.
pressure treated?
Yeah, no, it's $50 a sheet for sure. But you know, that's pretty stacked out there, and park a truck on it probably.
Probably is right.
I'm thinking that riding today is not going to happen, but
Yeah, it looks like it's not supposed to clear up till like 3. That's okay. We'll just keep talking on
Well,
a
hang on.
podcast.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
We're at the 2-hour mark, which feels like
felt like 15 minutes.
yeah.
I'm saying food and like bicycle having it.
Yeah, we could probably do.
Out.
Yeah.
Did we talk to James at all? Is he still
Is he alive?
dead on his bed, or
I mean,
I texted
we
him?
could just tap him right into the podcast right now.
Like, hey, bro, you alive?
Let's hope he's
At
alright.
least his spleen was in one piece this time.
Yeah,
so.
that was like the first thing I thought of. Actually, as messed up as that sounds, like, oh god, his spleen again.
Yeah, not again.
I'm gonna stop coming to Pittsburgh if he's blowing his spleen. So.
Spleen Buster.
That's his Xbox name.
Yeah.
He's the only Xbox friend I have.
Nice.
I have an Xbox, but I know his username.
Yeah.
You could just download the Xbox app.
Yeah,
just to be in chats with him.
It'd be absolutely ridiculous.
It would, but funny. I don't know. I mean, you guys got anything going on? What's new? What's exciting? Anything upcoming that you're
summer
doing?
Summer's
Working on?
upcoming.
Yeah, warm weather's
That's
just it.
Is it going to be the return of the Buffalo Jam this year?
It's all gonna depend on how the summer goes.
We'll see what the
how much effort I wanna
COVID
put into it.
restrictions are.
Yeah, that was the big thing last year, and it's like, unfortunately, it usually ends up falling on my shoulders. And you guys have been helping out in the last couple of years, which is great. It's
Right.
like it's, as you know, by running jams and stuff like that, it's a lot of thankless work.
Mm-hmm.
That I want people to thank me for, but it's like it's just everybody shows up and has a good time, and whatnot, but they don't realize how much stuff needs into getting that up and running. And heaven forbid if you have sponsors or if you have things to give away, or you're trying to do something different, like
Your microphone picked that up, by the way.
probably.
We all heard that,
But,
right? My stomach just growling.
We've had, like Luke has brought a 6-foot spine to the jam. It's like other people, like, Zach brought ramps. It's like, it's those things like that make it something magical and different. But, there's a lot of people that just show up and just, want to ride, and that's it. It's like, which is fine, I get it, but with as big as the community is, it would just be nice to have a little more participation.
Yeah.
I think it's just a running thing at that point.
I know what you mean. And it's so funny because you're right. On one hand, it's so much work.
Mm-hmm. And it's like the same 5
And
people always do the work, so. Yeah.
And it's easier the more years you've ran the same jam, because you can, at a certain point, you can be like, hey man, we're doing this again. Like, you gonna send stuff this year or not? And like, sometimes people can, sometimes they can't.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier than trying to sell a company on it the first or second year that you've done this jam.
That's true.
At this point, like, I flat out refuse to deal with any companies that require an order through a shop, because they're like, oh, we'd really love to sponsor this, but we need the whatever. And I'm like, look, dude, like, we have consistently over 100 people at this event,
right?
And if you don't want to be on the flyer, that's cool, but I'm not. I have a shop throwing gift cards and some like local shop shirts in. I am not asking them to place an order with your company and another company and another company just so you can pile in like a little bit of
and some stuff,
a little bit of your overstock throwaway stuff that I know you have set aside for jams anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the business model of it. There's also a point of, this is an established jam that does get a little bit of coverage. You either want in or you don't. And we've done it before where we'll have this shop order from you. Then I try to get a couple of different shops on board so that I can have different shops order from different companies. Forget it. We got like 30 different companies on there. And I don't really care.
You get enough folks to help out and stuff like that, and it's like you have your reliable ones.
But it's the other side of chasing sponsorships is you got to keep following up on them.
Yeah.
And like, no one sends it out right when you hit them up.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller dudes do. But they're going to wait till like 2 weeks before the jam before they even package stuff up and send it to you, in case you cancel it. Like,
that's true.
You run into just chasing it down, and it becomes a problem with mine in particular, where I'm like, well, yeah, the first one might be in Binghamton. And if you wait to send me stuff, I leave to go up there a week prior to help prep everything.
So it's got to be here.
I need it
before I leave.
Like, realistically 2 to 3 weeks early.
Yeah.
can't get it the day before the jam because you're not there.
I mean, I have stuff sitting here that I got it late. Like, I came back and it was on the porch. And I'm like,
Oh well.
well, that's nice. I guess that's prizes for next year's jam, or if I do like a mini one, whatever.
But you're trying to do stuff, and you're trying to keep the community flowing and stuff like that. You're trying to put something out there where there are so many other people that no one else steps up, then you're the one that has to do it. And it's like, if you stop right now, would these things happen? Like, maybe, but unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, there was not a Pittsburgh street jam for 9 years, I think, after Square One did their last one, until we did ours.
So you had to take up the mantle and just do it because,
Yeah. And then,
and
like,
the instant you don't do it, everyone's gonna, start bitching and be like, well, why didn't you do it this year? Well, why don't you step up? Or why didn't you say, like, hey, I noticed that I can see an announcement. Is there something going on? Can we help or whatever?
And from this just sounds bad, and I don't really like to say it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't really care. From like GrindWorks' standpoint, year over year, putting all the effort in to promote a Pittsburgh street jam, when the Pittsburgh scene overall doesn't support GrindWorks, kind of frustrating. Like, even down to participation in stupid stuff like the Insta Jams thing. Buffalo scene carried that entire project.
That's what we do. So.
And relatively thanklessly, because a lot of that sponsorship stuff just kind of fell through.
Right.
So a lot of it's my fault. But I had hit up the sponsors for the normal jam about doing that because we didn't think there was going to be a normal jam. And then right at the tail end of doing those, the jams were able to happen. I got all that stuff. And now it's like everyone kind of forgot about it. It is what it is.
For what it was, though, you know what? It was a lot of fun. Thank you for doing it, because it was motivation for a lot of us to just get out and do something and just, shake it up a little bit. And you know what? That's, the crew from Buffalo, it's like there's a lot of really good folks out there. And it's like a lot of us in our more immediate circle, it's like we just like to have fun. We just like to do this stuff. And like, that's cool. Yeah. And it's like there are, other layers as they go out and stuff like that to like kids I've never seen before. But we were talking about, being supportive of the local. And there's basically Eric Cycle Works, plug there, over in Hamburg. And there's the shop I work with, Terry and myself. It's like we do all
Which
is what?
What?
Which is?
Terry Spikes,
etc. / me for the BMX end of things. But you do all this stuff. You try to, do a jam each year. You like get product out there and stuff like that. And then that there's 2 locations that you can go to get certain things. And when you see some kid and he's like, oh yeah, well I bought it from like, XXX online or like that, and you're like, dude, it's like you bought a complete bike. It's like Eric has them in stock. At the exact same price, and he's going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And it's like, or it's like, oh, I bought this blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I could get that for you, right?
Oh, I didn't think about it.
Either exactly the same price or like, slightly less or whatever, just to keep that money flowing into something that can continue to support what you want to do. But they don't see it that way. It's,
Yeah.
Fun fact about Eric's bike shop, actually. So like the kink curbs.
This is the Eric Cycle Works podcast.
Yeah, in Hamburg. If you're ever in Hamburg, South Buffalo. So those kink curbs had like really crappy bottom brackets.
The American bottom bracket.
So
this fall.
Are they gonna rename to like Veggieburg or something just to be a little bit more animal friendly?
Don't bother me. But anyways, so he took all the bottom brackets out, upgraded them to just like sealed bearings and this and that. Pretty much almost made it like a kink launch, and just did it on his own free will. Well, turns out Kink got really mad at him because they're like, when these blow out, they're warranted, and we don't have the American unsealed ones so ready to go, so you automatically got upgraded. But here he is like selling it as a higher end, selling it for the exact same price. curb than you would have maybe of getting it online or whatever.
Yeah. And Eric's a person that cares. Like if you bought something didn't work, or you needed something, it's like, it's Friday night. He's probably closing up shop at 5 o'clock. If you're calling him at,
he waits
4:45 and be like, I need this. It's like he takes care of you.
Yep.
It's like I needed spokes the one time, and he was getting ready to leave, and I was like, it's like I can't make it out there in time. He's like, I'll leave in the mailbox for you. He's like, just pay me or like. It's like, dude, I totally did. It was awesome. It's like that. Just you don't get that from faceless corporation that you're trying to like have a drop ship from the distributor to you.
So much.
But it's we've talked about this I think ad nauseum before, but
and I generally try personally, and it's tough. Like I've got a lot of companies that sponsor our jams. I try every year to at least pick one of those companies and order something for myself from them. And I recommend everyone do that. Look, there's 30 companies on here. Pick one, order a t-shirt. Just like there's got to be a little bit of give and take on this, because if you don't support any of the brands that do this, they're not going to continue to support an event. There's no reason for them to.
I agree.
Yeah, they're giving away stuff without any return, so.
And like, just put in your order notes like, thanks for sponsoring this event or whatever. Like
they get that positive feedback.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just sending the stuff out into the ether and just hoping for the best.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. Like, it's not about the not supporting GrindWorks in particular thing. Although it's frustrating. Insta Jams is another good example of. Those were the most broad, like, do whatever you want, post the clip contest that it could have been. And I did that on purpose. They were very explicitly like that.
It also kind of forced you to kind of think a little bit, where it's like, get weird. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean? It's whatever you wanted it to mean. So it's like, whether you were posting, kick flips in a wig or whatever like that, or you're doing doubles runs or whatever. It's like, it was just meant to spark some creativity when everyone was feeling like just drained.
Yeah. And I was getting tagged in clips by like local dudes of just their like everyday riding. And like I reposted every single person that submitted something for the Insta Jams. That was really like the thing. It was free shout outs. Yeah. And I'm getting hit up for free shout outs.
Push yourself outside
and
of your
they
comfort
can't
zone.
even be bothered to do like the one simple thing. And I'm like, look, dude, I would have reposted your whole video, but like you didn't do the only thing that was asked of you to get a free shout out. And you would have been given like 12 of them. All you had to do was post a clip once a week. And it was, I don't know, it was like annoying to me actually to be like, why do I even do some of this stuff? And it's not about me. It's not about GrindWorks. It's about the scene. But when the scene doesn't respond, what's the point?
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. And like, I've gotten like a bunch of apologies after I've said that before too, and I'm like, dude, I don't care. It's
like
fine.
I said, it was. I viewed it as motivation. It was an opportunity to say like, okay, great, this week I have to do. It's like it would kind of had to make.
It's just a reason to get out on your bike too, like.
Pretty much.
Like, all right, well, it's not my favorite thing to do, but yeah.
For those of you listening, go back and check out what the Buffalo crew threw out there, because there was some wacky shit.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff too, and like when I did the last week where it was like fill in whatever you missed. I got a bunch of stuff from a bunch of people that like they had not done any of it. The one dude, Chris, local here, he went through and did every single one of them in one cut.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
One video.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. That almost brings up like another idea of like, you could do that as a full edit project. Like, here's a bunch of ideas. Like, check as many as you want off in one edit.
Sure.
Kind of like bingo or something like that, where you're gonna get,
Yeah. Yeah, you can Do trick bingo.
That in the idea bank.
Start bringing out the senior citizens of BMX.
And we can make some trick bingo cards. And we can just go hang out at a skate park for an hour and see if any of us can get bingo off of, like, someone did this trick, someone did this trick, okay.
That would be an interesting podcast idea. Like,
we could just sit there and laugh about it, and you're like, all right, this is the free bingo, but no one gets this, because this one's for sure going to happen. And, like, within the first 5 minutes, we're like, all right, so that one's crossed off, got it. We all knew that one was coming.
But
here's your real cards.
Could you do like trick bingo, or you could do like, you know, skate park bingo, where it's like, you know, inexperienced mom on a scooter. It's like, you know.
Yeah, we had that at Boyce.
Little kid gets sucked into tire, you know, something like that. You know.
Friend misses feeble grind and dies. Check.
Yeah. It's a spleen rupture for bonus points. Nope.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Skater snaps deck.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. It was good music at that park yesterday. It was like kind of whoever was running doing good jobs. All like wasn't some little like 12-year-old mumble rap or something.
Yeah, where the music swears and it's like, oh, kids, there's a baseball game going on. You really think parents want to listen to this? Like,
I like where Boyce is at. It's like, it's in a nice park.
Yeah.
But it's tucked off on its own. There's nothing else going on over there.
Right. Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a skate park we have at Kiza Park. Like right next to baseball fields.
Right next to a
swimming pool.
Pavilion.
Yeah.
Right next to a
it's like in the middle of
baseball
everything.
diamond right next to a
Yep. And when
playground.
When those kids get bored at the skate park and they want to start trashing the rest of the park, it's like,
it's not even the kids that are like skating or whatnot.
No,
half the time. It's usually like the ones that are hanging out that are just being dumb. Yep. I had to use like dad voice on.
They're watching.
Yeah.
Them a couple of times where it was like, hey, it's like put the fire out. It's like, idiots, please. Yep. There's a baseball game going on. It's like they are going to call the cops. You know, wait till later. Or go in the woods. Yeah. Go burn the woods.
Burn your parents' house down.
Yeah.
They're insured, probably.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then we get to things at like HCS and we're like, how have we trashed a car this bad and no one has yet flipped it over or lit it on fire? How have we avoided those two things?
I think because we were respectfully destroyed. It's like we know where our limitations are.
Well, I mean,
we're not complete and utter heathens. It's like
well, what's the point of flipping the car if you're not going to get any real consequence out of it either?
Yeah. But that's where
it would just make it harder for them to take away. So we don't want to make any extra.
It's like extra fun to get a couple whacks in on a car.
Yeah.
It's very therapeutic. I will say. I really never participated in it, and this year it's like using a 2x4 to remove the bumper. That was cool. That was very
I can
very
only,
cleansing.
I can only imagine after we all flip the car, we're gonna flip it and then we're gonna be like, oh, we're done for the day. You know.
That's fair too.
You know. Starting on fire, I'm just not really a pyro, so that's someone else's call, you know. But the flipping part, it's all gonna be, you know.
Yeah.
Because the young kids aren't gonna have the arm strength to do it.
No.
So,
No, there's always enough people doing that I can't believe that it hasn't gotten to that point.
Like I said, it's almost like respectful destruction. Like it's like just enough to get it out without like going that extra step of like, oh my gosh, it's like this is out of hand. It's like a weird controlled chaos to some degree.
Oh, it's super controlled chaos. Every one of those jams has been controlled chaos.
But like I said, in a way that you don't feel like, oh my god, this is gonna turn like horrible, or like this is gonna get dangerous, or this is gonna be. It's like it's fun.
Or maybe it's just what everyone needs every year, just a little therapeutic. You know, you ride bikes, you break shit, you beat up cars.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's almost the car thing's almost a bad precedent because now we have to have a car at every jam.
Yeah.
And a piano.
Or how insecure you feel.
The piano has been pretty good both years.
That's been
pretty consistent. Well, those things are always being given away for free. I mean,
pianos are so easy to come by. People are just like, "Oh my god, please get it out of my house."
Yeah, pretty much.
I will give you money.
You'll come take it.
Yeah.
It's yours.
What are you gonna do with it? We are going to play this
We're gonna restore it.
Yes.
to its later glory.
Now, the cool thing about them, too, is typically the soundboard in it stays relatively intact, so that just becomes a cool wall piece, too.
Oh, true.
Whereas with the car, not much stays.
You
Nope.
can't even get into it because there's shattered glass on the inside. Some butt munch freaking collapsed the roof, so you can't steer that thing away.
It's true. Very true. Very true.
I really want to know what, like, the junkyard people think every time those get taken in.
Well, just
say a single mom caught her boyfriend cheating.
Like, you know how strong those roof frames are for it to be collapsed like that?
I know.
That's so good. So much fun.
Joe telling us Derek behind the scene just cuts little slits to make us feel good about ourselves.
No. I mean,
he would make it work.
We
for it.
broke his axe on the one.
Do you remember that?
Just like that sledgehammer that was like heavier than like all get out. That like remember Luke's took one swing at the car with it like from the year prior. And he was like, and he's like, all right, that's good. It's like doing more damage to him than it was doing to the car. I think.
Oh, probably.
Point, so.
Yeah.
By the time you got the thing airborne, you were using up all of your energy to get it to here, and then like hope that you could.
Yeah, you
control
can't
it
really
down.
even pull it down. You just gotta let it fall from up there.
Pretty much.
Good stuff. Maybe that's what the Buffalo Jam's missing.
Oh, yeah, let's find a place to do that.
I think you should do it right in the center of Kisa. Just like pull a car in and just destroy it and see if you can get a permit next year for the jam.
What do you mean get a permit?
Well,
Talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say what?
I say what?
What?
We're kind of fast and loose with that. So.
The only thing we do is we just call to make sure that the pavilion's not being used.
Yeah.
That's I do have. You have to be a town resident, and I do have some people that can help me out with that. So that's pretty much the only thing that we really
have to reserve.
that goes for us. But like, I think we did run into a birthday party one time. That was. And then the last time we ran it, they had taken all the tables out of the pavilion, which was like
after Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, it was like, oh shit! It's like so basically hitting up everybody that had folding tables or whatnot, but it worked, and it actually landed up being kind of cool because people were riding under there. But it was
well, we had like a small vintage bike show too, so they actually ended up having just their bikes underneath the pavilion.
Yeah,
it didn't rain, but those guys don't like sunshine on their bike.
No, UV degradation of the vintage stickers and rubber.
They don't put sheets over it; they put tarps over.
Right. Do you have any other projects going on?
Don't get me started.
I would say like anything you want to plug? No.
Anything you want to complain about?
I got tons of things to complain about. I'm a salty bastard. Behind the scenes.
Any scene drama you want to start?
Oh, absolutely. Hang on. No, I don't know if anybody else is following like the USA BMX freestyle thing, but like that's like an amateur, like online and potentially having some live comps going, which is kind of cool. They got all different age groups, including a over 40 master class. So if slim possibility of the other 7 or 8 guys that are in that class are listening to this, Jason, yeah. So.
You're holding consistent 4th place.
I'm holding
right?
I'm 2 for 2 on 4th place.
All it takes is one of those top 3 guys to just
a bad day.
I'm hoping
someone's got to have a bad day.
Yeah, somebody scooping the kitty litter and blows her back out or something like that. I got a chance. So
that's very probable too.
That's possible.
Joke's on them after this. Their wives pick up and put on a pedestal for them, so they don't have to do that.
Just the cat getting up on the pedestal image.
Yeah, it's fine.
But that's a cool kind of thing in this world of whatever we're living in right now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to maybe get down to Woodward. One of the live comps happens.
Yeah. Have some fun with it.
Exactly.
What is it? How is it working right now? Like edits, basically, you get to do what you want.
You get one 30 to 45 second clip, no edits. So it basically has to be a line, which for some of us is more difficult than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they judge it. And then basically, bam, it's like they've been doing it every couple weeks. There's supposed to be like 7 of those happening this year, and then they actually have one coming up in Arizona.
Our BMX is doing something like that too with clip stuff right now.
Yeah, our clips. So,
yeah.
Cool. Like, So interesting.
Yeah, they don't want any repost stuff, so all new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I guess how do you even really tell other than like?
I have this clip from 3 years ago, but I never posted it.
Yeah.
Save this iPhone clip.
I'm sure they can. They can check the the data on the videos.
I'm sure it's like whatever.
Yeah. But it might be interesting to see what people throw out there. So.
I'm curious to see where it goes. If they're gonna do it similar to like how we did Insta Jams too, like where they might throw like a loose subject that like, okay, roll with it.
Yeah.
True.
Or if it's just open for whatever clips.
True.
So I think it's like best tricks and stuff like that, and they give like there's cash and.
I hate best trick. It's so arbitrary.
Well, it's like half. What? I don't know if this will get me on a subject here or not, but it's like sometimes like best trick. It's like, is it a trick you can understand? Is it a trick you can do that you? It's like you see a tail whip, you know what it takes to do a tail whip, but then you see something weird or something that's like like okay, it's like, well, yeah, that's okay, but until you try it, then you realize like, holy shit.
Or the setup is
Yeah.
just like different. It's hard to get to, hard to do anything on. I've just always hated the best trick thing because take a dude that's just so good at bar spins, right? And if they bar spin a 10 set, for them, it's no different than straight hopping it. Because their bar spin is their straight hop. There's nothing about it.
Right.
Versus like a dude down the road that like this is maybe his first contest and he's been trying to figure out bar spins and like tosses one even just fly out and catches it. Like one of them is clearly on paper better than the other. But as far as best trick goes, the dude that just pulled his first one all day long, that's a better trick.
Yeah.
And like I just feel like none of those contests take into account skill level. Or if they do, like you'll see a young local kid that's winning by something like that. But maybe someone else just pulled their first also equally hard trick. And they just don't get scored well at all because you don't have the context to know what that dude did.
It's very arbitrary. It's like I look at, these guys doing runs, stuff like that. It's like, cool, 360 to backflip, flare. It's like tail whip. It's like, okay, judges understand it. It's like it's like that's what a flare is supposed to look like. That's what backflip's supposed to look like. Whereas, you throw something out there that's different, and it's like, well, I don't know what that's supposed to look like, or they don't comprehend how hard something is to try it. So.
Or just what's someone's go-to trick? Like crank flip for me. If I crank flip something, it's nothing.
It's true.
I just enjoy doing it. But people will be like, "Oh, wow, that was crazy," and it's like,
Honestly, I'm still impressed by him. Like we do the double crank flip. It's awesome to me.
Yeah, and it is. It's super fun to do, and I'm like stoked on it. I wouldn't say I'm never stoked on them, but
for you, it's just you click the button and it's there. So.
Yeah, I mean the double sometimes takes some time to get the kick proper because it's a timing thing. But yeah, I mean it is what it is. I'm never like. I don't know. Like I would never expect it to be a thing. But I know that like people with bar spins for that same thing, it's like, well, how did that not win? Like I don't know.
It's true.
I think to a lesser degree, some people probably have that with whips. They could send a whip on anything. They're gonna catch it.
Yep.
And if you catch it early enough, it becomes a straight jump now.
I don't really care for BMX freestyle competitive world, so I'll be honest with you. It's the same thing why I don't care for BMX freestyle in the Olympics, gymnastics in the Olympics.
Because of that arbitrary nature of it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an old-fashioned, let's have a race.
Yeah,
we're all gonna start here. And
Whoever gets there first.
Yeah.
It's clear as day, you know.
There's
no controversy.
questions.
You know, there may be controversy during the race, but at the end of the day, someone still crossed the finish line first. Someone got second. Someone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
More so than anything, at least with this, it's like, again, an opportunity to like get out there and just do something.
Yeah.
It's motivation to like put something together, and it's really rad to see like older dudes doing it, and it's like some of them riding at just a really amazing level. It's it's kind of cool.
In their 40s.
Because you'll all be there eventually, maybe if you're lucky.
I think it's cool that they're doing that. I think it was cool what Brant was doing with the Lip Lords videos. Yeah. Obviously, I wouldn't have done the Instajam stuff if I didn't think it had a cool idea. But I don't know. I mean, there's the Our BMX one's going to be kind of cool, but in like actual in live event scope, I feel like every time a Best Trick event comes up, it's a vibe killer. So unless you go into an event knowing it's a formal contest, like every one of our jams, yours too, I've noticed, as soon as, like, people will be having a really good time sessioning, and it's like, at some point you kind of have to move things along and, like, give stuff away. The second anyone's like, hey, we're going to do a Best Trick on this, everyone stops riding, 4 people are interested. And you're like, all right, noted, we just killed all the fun.
Yep.
What would have been way better is to just, like, pay attention to the session that was happening and be like, hey, man, here's a set of grips. That was sick.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that, though, because you're like, all right, we're trying to carry this event from time A to time B, and we don't want to not have anything at the end.
And you're trying to focus that attention, too, to some degree, where it's like, you want people to kind of stop and watch the folks that are going to do stuff. So I think the approach that we've taken in the last couple of years is that we keep it kind of like a jam kind of thing, but then we do like a, hey, we're doing a best on this, and it's basically like everybody can participate because it's going to be fun. It's like let's see what you can do, and it's like, it's not just a one overall best trick. It's like, for your rail grinders, like, dude, we're hitting best section over here, like, do it, or best lip lord trick. I think that was one of the best. We did like the best flatland tricks.
Yeah,
and it just got people to participate. And it's like it didn't matter. It's like
yeah. I noticed it at the like Binghamton Jam and the Street Jam stuff. It's like, as soon as anything like that happens,
because then the guy.
It's like you can hear the record stop.
Yeah.
And everyone is done. They're checked out. They're not going to participate. And you're like, all right, that's not really the point here. Like, the point was that we can all have a good time and ride.
What if the catch-22 of that all is like, okay, let's think about the rider. We're having fun on this very particular ledge. Now you brought all the attention to that ledge, and now it's going to be a snake pit, in a sense,
Yeah.
You're inconvenient. It's almost like you want to just find something that's, like, completely dead.
Well, I notice it for HCS that, like, I try to avoid it. I know Cam buys into it a lot doing the best trick thing. I try to avoid it at all costs because I know what it does to the session.
Yeah. And
sometimes it works out. Most of the time, like, the obstacle courses work out awesome for people. If you want to do a race or something, or like, hey, we're trying to see the first person to make it down this whole rail.
Yeah.
You can focus people in on that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
We did a fastest grind one year we had a radar gun.
Sick.
And that long rail, and it's who can hit it fastest.
That's pretty rad, actually. Yeah, like competitive stuff like that. Like, anyone can go fast on a bike, whether they choose to or not,
Right. And then you just kind of know, too, like, all right, the 12-year-old kid that got in on this, like, one, I'd be super stoked if he won, but I'm giving him something for participating.
Yep.
I don't know. I really try to avoid the, like, best trick on this things, though.
Yeah.
Just because it feels like 3 people participate. And then, like, there was a session happening on it, and, like, all these dudes did something cool that you could have just thrown them something for.
Yeah.
We've tried to think outside the box in that regard, just for a few things here.
Yeah.
It's like even like the high jump. That's just kind of like a fun.
Yep.
It's a little spectacle kind of thing and stuff like that. You know, there's some kid that can hop from here to the moon.
Mhm.
You know, but.
But not even so. I mean, it's always fun when you get like all the little kids just jumping too.
Yeah,
they want
they'll
to. At the end too, they want to know how fast they're gonna
Right.
go. They
And
want to know
then-
where they stand. You know.
I mean, once we got the bar up to a certain height, we had the little kids going under it, which was even more fun.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, and that's
How low can they go?
you know.
The bicycle
HCS
limbo
things-
could be a fun one.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, the HCS thing's a little bit different, but it's like with us, we try to, since we're right in a community like that,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
we try to keep it, you know, to the kid friendly thing. It's like, you know, when we were doing more of the comps back in the day, we had like a 10 and under, and it was just like, get out there. It's like, you know, everybody go. It's like,
Mhm.
just show off for a minute. But that, like I said, running it as a contest, that wasn't the way that it could keep going. It just had to become like a gathering, you know, like that kind of
Yeah.
jam kind of vibe where it's like, you know what, just everybody come out and have some fun.
I feel like, other than select instances, and I guess it's kind of park oriented at this point. Like, you have to have the right park to even be able to do it. But like timed runs or anything like that, it's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I mean, at formal competition level, like the USA BMX stuff, they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have an older style park to even make it a thing that can be done.
The park that's in Arizona, they have it like there's 2 sections or whatever like that. And it's like, you know, the kids can use this section, and then the adults have like full reign. But I was looking at the setup, and I'm like, well, there's a bowl. I'm like, for someone like me, it's like that's not gonna help. It's like there were some quarters, there were a couple ledges here and there, but it's like then they showed like the street room. I'm like, that would be ideal. But how do you judge guy shredding a bowl versus guy doing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
ledge jibbity stuff? It's
Yeah.
like,
Two different animals.
have 2 totally different animals. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I can ride a bull, but I can't air a bull or do anything cool in it. So it's just, you know, you're stacking. I guess that's what it comes down to. Is like like you said with racing, you have a definitive beginning end.
That's it.
Someone's gonna win because they cross
It's
that
You
arbitrary
know what
line
it is?
first.
It's simple.
Yeah.
What you guys are talking about gets very
Yeah.
complicated. Gets very political. Very.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And
You're trying to
you
judge.
get a headache. I'm getting a headache just listening to it.
Yeah, you're
you
trying
know?
to judge like apples and lemons. And,
Judging artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, how do you judge? It's like you don't know what it took. I mean, that could have been the first time someone used that technique. You know, and it was very successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, at high air. It's the highest air you've ever done. Oh, you lose.
Yeah.
What do you mean I lose? I went like a foot higher than I've ever done before.
Yeah.
Like I literally won. In my mind,
Well,
I won.
What is nice about like high jump and high air though is like, okay, we know a 12-year-old kid's not gonna out bunny hop, you know, a 21-year-old kid. But you know what though? That 12-year-old kid will now know his level, and he knows like, okay, next year if I go,
Next time, you want at least another inch on that.
yeah, you know, like so like they're winning personally, whether they're winning the overall,
Mhm.
which is kind of cool. Which I think why kids always get involved with the high jumps no matter what, or the highest hops, or, you know.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's still just a personal record. He can keep
Yeah.
that to himself. He can brag to his buddies, you know. Or
I
him
think
and
that's the important part about
him and his
this.
buddies can all brag about it, you know, about those hops.
try to
then
beat your personal best instead
Yeah.
of like, you know, beat the guy that, you know, took third or
you
fourth.
you ain't gonna beat the 6'5" kid, you know, who can step over it
with
still.
leverage. You know?
Yeah.
No one still ever wants to do my event, the long 90 contest.
Explain.
So,
2 tacoed
ride,
wheels at
ride,
the end.
Ride,
Well-
ride for 90 minutes straight.
no.
No. I know which one it is. You jump
Yeah,
really far
well-
and land 90
Well, yes, but
in a sand.
I'm not saying that you go full speed and do a 90. It's you start with your wheel backed against a wall,
Yeah.
and you have a max distance of like a crank and a half, maybe,
Yeah.
to a line. You have to bunny hop before the line. You have to 90. You have to plant, and you have to turn and ride away straight. You can't do like the correction hop rest of the 180 and ride away fakie.
Oh, basically like dead
So-
stop 90 to.
Yeah, so you're not really like you're not gonna taco wheels from a start where you only get a crank in.
You're just looking for that challenge of like,
Well,
can you go from go to awkward sideways stop?
Yeah, to
go
control
ahead?
it and then ride away the intended direction after.
let me ask you a question. Are we allowed to use brakes?
I feel like the answer has to be yes.
And then can I land a tail tap?
No, you gotta land both
No,
wheels
you
on
have
the
to
ground.
plant. Both wheels have to make the
Does it have
contact
to be
before you can pivot out.
simultaneously, or can it be like?
No, that's.
Well, I'm just.
No, I think you have to like hop and like.
Yeah, I know.
Like land.
Because I'll struggle with this though.
I feel like it's gonna be a lot harder than people think.
It is a lot harder than you think.
And I think that's we've touched on that. That's keep circling back. That sometimes people don't know how hard it is until they try it. And it's like, oh, it's like that looks easy. And it's like, go do it. And it's like, oh shit. It's
another one that you keep this one in mind for when you do another jam. We did it at HCS. 2 bunny hop bars in a row. Keep them at the same height. And the distance is fixed between them. So, like, when it's low, you got some time and everything. But you have to be able to recover from that hop and do another one. So it starts to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. It's like a high hop, and then you get a high hop again.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting.
Because it's like that first one, you could be preloaded as all you want. You're in perfect position, but then as soon as you land that second one, and you're like this, and it's like, oh, how do you?
Yeah, and how do you control your speed for it too?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other problem too. Is when you start getting higher hops, your distance with the pole in the middle, that distance starts, you know.
The people, what we notice people start to do is they start to side hop them.
Yeah.
Or they'll side hop the first one and then like try to 180 over the second one almost.
Yeah.
To change the direction.
Gives you that more distance.
But the way we ran it the first time was we never changed the distance out until people started clearing the first one and it could not make the second one. At that point, you're like, okay, we know where the limit is.
Yeah.
On this, so we'll move this out 6 inches, leave the heights the same. We know you got the height, so now it's about how high can we go and still be able to do both.
Yeah.
So it's super fun that way, though.
Well, it spices things up too. Big time.
And we did one of those at the wheel mill too. We did a double bunny hop night.
Yeah. Interesting.
Be a fun project for the summer.
Yep.
The other way that it would be kind of fun is to keep them close together and see how long you can do each height. Like when they're low, you know you'd be able to gap like 3 feet between them.
Yeah.
And clear both low bars. At what point can you no longer clear 2 bars?
Yeah, like you gotta keep that height. Yeah, that's actually a real interesting one too.
I've also wanted to put like a pulley system on where it's variable and have it blind, so you come around a corner.
You just gotta.
No. So you come around a corner and you've got maybe 10 feet to it, but you can't stop. So you could go, if you're lucky, all around. You could go the whole time through this contest, never have to bunny hop more than a foot. Or you might come around the corner on the first one and you got to pace yourself because you're somewhere in the 2 to 3 foot mark. And you're like, I need this to be on the way down.
Yeah.
And you're like coming at it slow,
So
you know?
what you're saying is that it's like a moving pulley system. So it's okay. Oh, I like that because that way it's like I was gonna say, well,
I feel like you'd want to automate it with a motor so that you don't have someone hand cranking and be like, oh.
Because I was thinking that you meant like you'd come around the corner and it would be set at a certain height. But no, this way, that's even better.
Yeah, so you got 10 feet to read. All right, it's on the way up. I really need to speed up.
Yeah.
And get there quicker. Or okay, it's on the way down. I can like kind of ride this out and come at it slow.
No offense, we should do that, but like have like the module on there. So like when it's like a little kid, you can just have him like just pretty much win it as a joke, like really frustrate the older guys. Because let's be honest, it's always fun picking on the older guys. Like, you know, that's bullshit, man. There's a crying. It's like, dude, you were fighting for a set of grips.
If you had like, I'm looking at your remote control car thing right there. If you had it hooked up to like a remote control car motor, so you could just be like, and you could actually like, you know, This is what happens 3 hours.
Especially to move a a PVC pipe up and down on a
Yeah.
small pulley. Like, that should have enough power to do it. And that shouldn't be all that hard to do.
I agree.
But it would be super fun to have it blind going in, where you might never have to bunny hop more than a foot. You might, on your very first go, have to do 3.5 feet.
Yeah. That is true. That is really. Well, hold on. Why don't we spice it up again?
What if the second one in the 2 is moving?
Well,
and on fire.
Well, even let's say if you did one and it went really high and then really low. What if you had to like think fast? You either go over or under. So if it's at not just 3 feet, but let's say 4 feet, you got to think fast. Like, am I going to calculate to go over or under? I feel like so many people just crash into it because they're be so indecisive.
Mm-hmm.
That's like what they have to think about.
Nice.
You know, I would.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make those decisions fast. I got to think.
That would be fun. The other one I've wanted to do to really make people angry is do high bunny hop in the grass, so you have to hop in the grass.
That is torture.
It would be so bad, because it just wouldn't be a good, consistent hop.
You find like the crappiest divot in the grass too.
Yeah.
Down for that.
And I guess that just goes back to just making it fun. It's like, it's difficult. Yeah, it's goofy, but you know what? It's like, it's not the same thing that you've always done. So.
Right.
True.
It's like, how many different ways can you do a high bunny hop contest that no one's ever thought of? Clearly, there's quite a few.
I like making people mad. I say we do the grass one. Find the crappiest divot, or you put it like in the grass, but like right before is when the concrete ends. So you can't jump from there and make it over because you'll hit it. But it'll be like divot, but your back wheel will still be like on the concrete.
What about a pile of rocks you got a monster truck through right before you get into the grass to then have to hop?
Oh yeah, that's true too.
So you might not even, like, you can't even line up for the same spot in the grass every time.
He said it's like there's those spots, so you could do like high hop out of the monster truck because it's gravelly rocks leading upwards. So you can do like that. It's on an incline. You try to hop out of that,
That's true.
horrible. That would be so much fun. You're like, all right, we can high hop out of this.
Or if we just hate everyone, just do high hop into the gravel.
Oh. No, that's painful.
Yeah, well, you'll be selling tubes.
Health insurance as well. So.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, well, you guys want to wrap up, grab some food,
Yeah.
go to the bicycle museum,
Food
do
up.
something fun?
Bicycle museum it, and like then, ooh, I don't know.
You can get some more of those famous Pittsburgh wings.
You know, I will pass up famous Pittsburgh wings for some get-go wraps, yo. That's I'm gonna get cracked out on those before this trip is over, I think. So those are quite delicious.
That's
So.
how creepy I am. I have a camera in my house.
Oh, something's moving.
Yeah, Brandy is. See?
Oh.
I figure out what day it is.
Share with the group. So.
All right, I'll find a funny one.
Just be like, I see you.
We'll end with a.
It is creepy. Here's her doing the garbage.
We'll end with a shout out to Brandy for putting up with Josh. So.
There's her doing stuff. Yeah. That's how I know she's doing chores around the house. We don't have any in our house. So.
You just text her like, hey, while you're taking the garbage out, can you also do this? It's just like.
Or no, what I always tell her is like, I didn't give you permission to go outside.
Amazing. So.
That's funny.
Thank you, sir, again for having us and your hospitality and showing us around your
I raised your water bill.
lovely town.
That's cool.
So.
Anytime you guys want to hang out, come down, do another podcast, I can do them remote, even if you guys are just like, hey, let's talk about nothing because I'm bored.
True.
What's this board you speak of? Must be a millennial thing.
I don't know that I'm going to continue doing any live ones because they tend to kind of flop, but I don't mind doing them like online chats because that's fun.
Yeah, hang out with the homies anyways.
Yeah. The live ones tend to kind of suck.
Yeah.
It's either a different audience, not that that's a bad thing, but they're hard to keep on track.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how Brant does it.
True.
To do all his stuff live like he does. I feel like to one degree you never get into a topic that deep because people are always throwing other ideas out at you. Like
it's a lot to
we
take.
riffed on video games for like 30-40 minutes probably.
Yeah. But you know what? Good stuff. So then make sure in the description you put like includes retro video games, home improvements.
Yeah.
The reestablishment of a contest formula for for winners.
Bike
And
jam.
brakes.
And breaks.
Brakes. Yeah.
Well, again, shout out to Eric Psychworks. Thank you for your
Oh,
help.
yeah.
So,
Thank you. Yeah.
What are you guys' Instagrams?
At Josh Sorrentino.
I have to spell that.
How many N's?
2.
At Miscellaneous Kevin, which is MISC Kevin. So
Don't follow me. I won't follow back.
follow me and all the help I can get. So
I won't follow you back.
Check out Kevin's mid-school bicycle part reviews on YouTube.
yeah,
Coming soon.
It may have to happen. We'll see.
Coming soon.
We'll see what the motivation this week is like.
Granny's
so.
starting her podcast. We could just steal her shit.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You do a true crime BMX podcast.
Oh God, no! I want her to change that topic.
True crime BMX.
I
I love it.
Yeah, all the crimes on BMX bikes.
Why doesn't anybody do
That could be fun news if you just like find all the weird, sketchy stuff going on, like obscure bicycle related news. News that involves a bicycle. It's not bicycle related.
Nice.
Like bike path rapists. No.
No. That's where we end. Nice.
Bike path. I can't talk all of a sudden. Bike path rapists.
That's a true thing that happened in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Nice.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, Sherry Lindsay Park in Binghamton is named after a girl that was raped and killed in that alley. So.
Oh. Whoa.
That's bright and sunny.
And New York at its finest for you. Then. You know.
Unbelievable.
Ugh.
Let's get some grub. Let's go look at crazy ass
And,
bikes. So.
I'm down.
Like, follow, subscribe, comment, do whatever.
Follow the vlog.
GrindWorks.
Thanks, guys.
I don't even know my own pitch at this point. It's like
if you're here, you're already here. So
at GrindWorks_BMX on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Don't send me anything on there, please. Or do. I don't really care. I don't check it anyway.
They'll send you a mountain bike video.
I'll send you the mountain bike video back.
Pretty fucked up dude. That's
At GrindWorks BMX without the underscore on Facebook.
Link in the description below.
I don't know, whatever. Yeah, the links are there. Hit the follow button, subscribe button, or don't. I don't really care.
If you sat through it this long, you already know what you're into. So
Later, all.